Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show on a Wednesday with Mike and T-Roy. Hello, T.
Hey, buddy.
How are you, pal?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm actually really...
Did you just get here?
Yeah. Indeed.
I'm extremely excited. My mentor, my former boss, Mr. Drew Lane, is in the house.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, Drew?
How you doing?
How are you, man? Thank you so much for coming by.
No, it's nice. I had told myself I was going to start doing other shows a lot.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's the best way to get the word out and just to...
Cross promotion.
Yeah, and I have done like one show
Yeah.
in the 8 months ago since I said that.
You know what that is? It's because we were raised in the radio world where it was like you wouldn't dream of going on another show or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like you would never cross promote. And so this is, I think it's really hard for like traditional radio guys to just fall into, you know.
It is weird. It's totally different. Does my mic sound hollow, by the way?
No, I don't think so. Does it sound weird to you?
It sounded a little hollow to me, but
All right.
I'm
Nerds, get in there.
I'm so
Yeah.
persnickety.
Yeah. No, it sounds good.
Okay, good.
It sounds good.
It is weird for radio guys. It's definitely a big transition to podcasting, but I think it's more natural for these comedians and a lot of these guys to do podcasts because they're all friends and they know each other. So
Yeah.
they just, by nature, they would cross promote all the time. Plus, they need a way to build up their own show.
Right.
So you bring somebody else's platform over. And it makes a lot of sense to me, but I think you just get in your comfort zones, and plus it's work to do other shows, and you're trying to get as many shows out as you can. But anyway, it's fun to do another show for a change.
Yeah. It's you don't have to prep as much. It's kind of easy. I found when I've done the few that I've done,
Yeah.
other people's shows.
Yeah, I know you went down to Dallas to see Dave.
Yeah, I did that. I've done Kumia's show a couple times.
Yeah, was that fun doing Dave's show? Because that looks like
yeah.
a hellacious setup.
Oh my God, dude, it's incredible because Glenn Beck owns it or is whatever I think he does. So it's the old Paramount movie set. And so there's all kinds of buildings, like massive, and like airplane hangars.
Well, yeah,
40-foot ceilings, 50-foot ceilings.
And his setup looks really nice.
It's
And
very cool.
The video they put out is beautiful.
So when you walk in there, each show has like their own box. So Glenn Beck's is huge, and you see his
Of course.
setup and desk, and then Stu, who does the show with him, has his. But then Dave's set is really cool, and they got full on like the big cameras, and they got a director, and someone running the board, and they've got teleprompters, so any of their commercials and shit that they got to read come up on a teleprompter.
So how many producers are working on that show?
That one is kind of small. There were like, and it was we didn't record till like 6:30 at night. So I ran into Stu in the hallway of all people, Glenn's partner.
Oh yeah,
but he was like the only one in the building. Like there was hardly anybody there.
that's nice.
Yeah, so it was mostly it was literally just the Normal World crew.
Oh, okay.
And so it was Angela, who runs the board, and she talks a little bit, and then a camera girl director, and then Dave and Garrett and me. And
So there's just one person who's off camera.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then when I first got there, they're like, "Come on, we got to get you into makeup." And I was like, "Really?"
Powder up.
So
When they record stuff though, that's pre-recorded stuff, bits or whatever though, do they have other people working? with them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a luxury. That's really nice.
Yeah,
and the stuff they're
to have
putting
a
out
budget.
is great. Yeah,
I think their stuff is great too. I'm really interested. Dave was telling me about a bit they were doing. I think they were trying to get it out around Halloween, or they were recording a thing called The Walking Dead, which
I
just the
haven't seen it.
title of it sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
Knowing how
Dave likes going there.
Oh yeah. And The Walking Dead did it to themselves. I mean, I used to love that show, and it got so woke. It was like, really, everyone in the apocalypse now is fucking deaf.
The Walking Dead
Yes.
got woke.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, they have deaf people. It's like, oh, we're 7 years into this, and the deaf are surviving? Oh, a guy in a wheelchair has made it this far? Really? So there's that. And what do you know? Nobody's not in a gay relationship. It's like, really? Everyone in the apocalypse now is gay. Cool. Yeah, so, it's fun. So I don't know what they did with it, but the sketches they've put out so far on Normal World, I think, are fantastic.
Top notch for sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's
very
a young show, but they got they already have like 100,000 subs on YouTube, and
Yeah.
they're killing it.
You pay a lot of attention to that, don't you?
Yeah, well, since we got on YouTube, I do. I immediately started trying to find shows that had smaller subscriber bases than we did, just to feel better. And
Was it tough when you were younger, before you had like monster ratings? Did that drive you nuts?
a little bit, except there's always the feeling that that we're doing something better, and it just takes time. I mean, but it takes a while to learn that. Oh, this old fuck who's been doing this forever has just got people hanging on listing out of habit.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you become that guy.
but they won't stick around for long if you're not putting out a good product.
No, I like to think that.
Yeah.
Although there's always people who are phoning it in and hanging on their laurels. But we're still working hard on the show.
Yeah.
Hey, when I got in here, I had to ask you about the Corey Perry story, and you had just found out about it.
Troy was just telling me right before you got here. I hadn't heard anything about it. I hadn't paid attention to it. But it's way better the way Troy told me than what I'm hearing now.
Right. The rumor's much better than the truth.
Way
if the
better.
truth is the truth.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring it
that
up.
was true.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Blackhawks game tomorrow. We're sitting on the glass. I wanted to be able to have like an I Heart Connor's mom shirt or something on there.
Yeah.
Well, Corey Perry, the rumor was that he nailed the first draft pick's mom on the mom's trip, which is like, what? But they released him. I mean, nobody does that. You don't release a guy that's that good. Isn't he a Hall of Famer practically?
I don't know.
He's older.
Yeah.
Really good. I mean, 400 career goals as a defenseman.
Yeah.
Wait, so first off, why are the players on a mom's trip that he can
Well,
have
no,
access?
they brought the moms along.
Yeah,
like
see the
Mom's
game.
Week or whatever.
for a road
So
trip.
All the
Okay,
players
I
got to
got
bring
you.
their moms along.
So anyway, that
They were
rumor.
asking for it.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of knew it was a rumor, but it was like, why are they letting this guy go? I mean, they just signed him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
came over there. He's a good player. He
So-
was supposed to be a mentor to this first round pick.
That tells me that he was actually fucking Connor Bedard's mom.
Well, something horrible happened.
Something did.
The implication today is that he did something to a team employee, and the Blackhawks are so sensitive because they went through that whole thing with the scandal a couple years ago that they just won't stand for it. But I'm wondering, what the hell did he do?
Yeah.
I mean, because to me, it sounds worse than what it probably is.
Can you not bang anyone at work anymore? Is
I
that
guess
off
not.
limits
No.
completely?
I mean, an all-star defenseman can't bang someone at work,
Right?
or try to make out with somebody. I mean, I'm assuming that he hit on somebody he shouldn't have hit on.
Yeah, that could be someone married in the office.
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
he's
it's
married. He's married too.
Oh,
so
okay.
But if it was something that simple, would you release him?
No.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
That's
Especially
why
if
Connor's
he-
mom made so much sense.
Now, if he raped someone or he assaulted someone, but that seems like it's a legal matter. But they're like, oh, it's a team matter, and we're handling it within the team. And I'm like, what? I mean, it sounds awful.
Do you think the truth will come out? Someone will spill something,
We'll
right?
have to, I would imagine.
I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, kind of like it did with baby Cabrera.
Yeah, That's right. That's a great comparison. And
Who
I
did
think
he banged? Was it
Cecil, not Cecil
Yeah,
Fielder.
yeah,
Prince
Prince
Fielder's
Fielder's
wife. And
allegedly.
but I think that's just been left there, and nobody really knows it to be true or untrue, but everyone just thinks it is because it was never corrected.
Yeah.
And
it was weird the way they unloaded him so quick.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that tells you a lot because those guys used to be able to get away with murder. You know, players in these pro leagues could get away with anything.
But when you bring in the locker room, that's different. I mean, even back then that would be different. But today, Kyle Davidson, the GM of the Hawks, had a press conference, and he was choking up. He was almost crying like 7 or 8 times. I don't know if you want to play it. I haven't even heard it.
See, you want to see if you can find it?
The
See, I don't
story.
know. Who's the GM?
Kyle Davidson. It said that he choked up numerous times during the press. I'm like, what did this guy do?
Okay, so what would make someone choke up? Your number one, like the most 5-star draft pick you've had since Kane? I don't know.
Well, yeah, you want to make it look like you're so upset
So
because, oh my God,
devastated.
someone has done something to our most valuable property. But
Because this wouldn't be the behavior if you bang the backup goalie's mom.
No,
right? But your overall number one who looks unbelievable, like right out the gate, that might make you
not getting choked up, but it reminded me of, do you remember when the Cubs, when the fan was behind, I forgot who was standing there with a microphone with a dugout, and a fan was playing the circle game, And he made a
Oh, yeah.
And they said it was the upside
Nazi
down
or something, racist shit.
Yeah, they said it was the white supremacy sign.
Yeah, the
but he
OK
was playing the
sign.
circle game.
Yeah, white
exactly.
power. Yep.
And so Theo Epstein said, I saw that video and I had shivers. I'm like, what?
You lying asshole.
What do you mean you had
You must have looked
No,
at it.
you did not.
So I kind of thought that Kyle Davidson was pulling the same thing, like, oh my, I'm so upset. But they said he was choking up in the story.
Is that him?
I got like a 1 minute video. Should we check it out?
Yeah, sure.
Let's check it out. That one's muted, T.
Yeah, it is now. Oh, hang on. Let me
I mean,
flip it over
this can't be, even if it was his mom, why would he be crying?
Yeah, why would he be
Unless
crying?
it was a rape.
Connor crying.
If it was an assault, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Even
Reiterating
then.
the
Yeah, no,
organiza-
you'd be
by
crying,
reiterating, the organization is committed to a culture of accountability and upholding our values across our employees and players both on and off the ice.
He looks like a pussy.
Last week, management was notified of possible misconduct by Corey Perry. We immediately pulled him from the game and conducted an internal investigation. Upon
yanked him
learning
from the game?
Findings of the investigation, we made the decision to terminate his contract. As this is an individual personnel matter, I will not be able to disclose any details related to the initial reporting, investigation, or the findings. However, I do want to be
no
very
fun.
clear on this one point.
He was not.
This
banging.
does not involve any players or
It's
their
not
families.
He did not
And anything
fuck my
that suggests
superstar's mom.
otherwise, or anyone that suggests otherwise, is wildly inaccurate, and frankly, it's disgusting.
Well, then clear
This
it.
is
It's
Clear
not
it
just,
up.
it was disgusting because it was a rumor.
Honest
Yeah.
answers. It was important that we took all the necessary
You didn't say
steps
anything. That's why we thought that.
before
Yeah,
sharing more.
and you still haven't.
I hope you can understand that I may not be able to answer everything today, but I am going to be as open and honest as I can be. Given the
Except about what
situation
happened.
And out of respect for those involved.
I don't see him
Yeah.
getting choked up there.
No, I didn't see anybody getting choked up.
I think that was just the intro. He probably takes some questions there.
Yeah, I still don't know why he'd be choked up, but no, I do feel bad that the mom was dragged into this. If this is total BS and it's how would it get from a team employee to the mom of the first pick?
Of the
That's
star.
crazy.
Yeah. What was the story on the Jets quarterback?
Oh,
Throwing bombs.
throwing
and
bombs and
moms.
banging moms. Yeah,
Yeah, that was the story on him.
but
Yeah,
that
that
was
was-
his mom's friend on like draft night or
But
something. He went out and banged.
was she married? Was she single? I mean, it seemed to me it was,
I don't know if she was married
not
or not,
sure.
but yeah, it was his
she was
mom's
hot
friend.
too.
Yeah,
she was gorgeous.
And Connor Bedard's mom's not bad either.
No,
Oh no, she's very pretty.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
pretty.
definitely bangable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just since we're talking about sports, did you see the story about the kid at the Kansas City Chiefs game?
Oh my God.
He's got Deadspin's like, oh my God, a double dose of racism.
Dead's-
He's wearing the headdress and he's in blackface.
Yeah,
And it
Deadspin
turns
needs
out-
to go the way of Gawker. They need to be sued like Hulk Hogan sued Gawker and ran them out of business. If you remember that a few years back.
Yeah, well, that's
This
what
is
Dan
so
Lebitard.
obnoxious.
Dan Lebitard was having a conniption fit because people were saying that about Deadspin, and he was like, "This kid, at least he's already a full blown racist wearing the headdress." It's like, what was the quote he said? Deadspin.
Have you seen that picture, T?
No, I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, look it up. It's
It's-
story is so pathetic.
A side view of a kid with black on his face, but if you were looking at him from the front, he had red on one half and black on the other half. He's a Chiefs
yeah,
fan.
Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
So anyway, Lebitard was going crazy. The right is flogging Deadspin over a 5-year-old kid. No, Deadspin was flogging a 5-year-old
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
So
He was
who
older
cares
than
right or
5,
left?
but like 8. Was he an 8-year-old kid?
He was
I mean,
a young kid. His
young
mom, he was doxxed, and his mom came
Yeah.
out today to say, by the way, shut the fuck up. He's Native American.
Oh, no kidding.
That's what she said.
Oh, there you
Look
go.
at that.
That's a beautiful headdress, by the way.
It really
That
is.
is spectacular.
No,
To take that picture just of the side where you see
Yeah.
the brown on his face and act like that's the story is criminal. And if you're attacking a child, you're in the wrong. You're the asshole. I'm sorry.
Does Deadspin go around watching games looking for stuff like that
This
instead of watching
reporter,
the fucking game?
who ironically, his name is Karen, by the way. I swear to God. Karen, this is what his focus is on Deadspin sports articles, is finding racism where it doesn't exist and writing about it.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
Karen watches Florida State games and Chiefs games
Sure.
looking for, oh, God.
Sure. Yeah.
Well-
It's disgusting.
Outkick, of course, it turned into a battle between Lebitard and Outkick for some reason. I don't know why. To me, it was just like, why are you going after this kid?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe his parents, but the fact that the kid's Native American, which no one was expecting that development, that blew everyone's fucking mind. In fact, I wonder if he really is Native American.
Yeah.
I mean, if the mom lied.
Oh, they're fact checking. I guarantee they're looking into it.
Brilliant move by the mom to say that.
At least buy some time.
Can you really find out?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Outkick, not only did they bitch out Lebitard for going for
who went
defending
after him?
Deadspin.
Clay? Did Clay do it?
I think it was Clay.
Yeah, he's great.
Outkick finds a picture of Dan Lebitard in red and blackface. 2 pictures.
Awesome.
Isn't that bizarre?
I love it.
Like, why is Dan Lebitard? What occasion was he in red and blackface for twice? But he was.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures, and he said something too about, well, it's red and blackface, so it's kind of racist. Like even that was a little bit and then he gets caught in red and blackface.
Hilarious. It's like asshole. I just call him Prime Minister Blackface up in Canada. You know, that guy's been in more blackface than anybody, and I mean extreme blackface. It's hilarious to me. The most woke politician on planet Earth.
Why was he in blackface so much? I mean, I knew that he was busted once.
Oh, he's been busted multiple times, and he goes like shoe polish black.
Really?
And he does his arms, his hands. He did it for Aladdin. He went as Aladdin one year to some party.
Wow.
But that Justin Trudeau has been in blackface more than anyone, and it's like, how ironic. This guy, and he dresses in garb. If he's in India, he's going to wear some fucking outfit that's Indian. It's just ridiculous.
He probably goes to minstrel shows.
Probably. It wouldn't shock me. This spoiled little asshole, entitled prick, and he's constantly calling out racism everywhere. I don't even recognize the world we're living in right now, to be honest with you.
Bizarro world.
It is. I mean, it leads to shit like this. Right here, we have Black Santa Claus in a wheelchair.
Where'd you get that?
Target.
Wow, I want one of those.
Yeah, you can have one. I have 7 of them. We have 7. So please.
Oh,
take
they're
one of
parting
these home.
gift?
We stocked up.
Yeah,
Parting gift for guests?
These are for guests. Yes. No,
Shocker, they were on clearance.
Troy brought one over because we found the story hilarious, and then Tooch brought over a half dozen of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And so,
So what is the story? That they now have equal numbers of black Santas and white Santas?
I guess.
Women Santas?
But I guarantee you, these are probably, because I see people posting
In a
online.
Santa in a wheelchair, how is he going to get his job done?
I have no idea. But like,
It's pretty challenging.
Who this is targeted to, unless it's just people making fun of it, I don't know who it's targeted to.
That's probably it. They probably sold way more of them just
way
in
more.
the joke than
Please take that
people
one.
actually buying
thanks.
it.
Yeah, of course. It's a
Wow.
perfect Christmas ornament.
No, that's
Really
going to stay
cool.
there. That was perfectly placed in camera, in frame. I strategically placed them around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
they're
well,
all-
we've
they're all
got
the
a
little
bunch
Easter
more
eggs around
upstairs. Yeah, we got a bunch more upstairs.
So would this be maybe for handicapped kids to have a Santa to look up to?
Yes. I mean, Santa's first
Seems like a
off,
small market.
seems like a very small market, but the amount of
The
people
goof
like
market,
us,
though,
the
would
goof
be-
market
yeah.
is huge.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled with that. It's like when they gave us black emojis. You know, I don't text anyone without black emojis now. And people have asked me why, and it's like, because they offered it to me. I'm trying to be supportive. Like, they used to have just Simpsons hands. You know, they were just yellow.
Right.
It didn't represent anything. And now it's like, we're so woke. It's like, all right, you're going to give me the black fist to do fist bumps? Then that's what I'm using.
No, I remember hearing, I can't remember where I heard this complaint, but it was that there are no black Band-Aids. And so black people were like,
Skin color,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck? I got to wear these brown Band-Aids? It's bullshit. And I thought, well, why wouldn't somebody start making them?
Yeah, they do.
And
now.
that would be, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they do.
Is that a big seller? I mean, do black
No,
people,
of course
like,
not.
oh my God, what a relief.
No, black guys don't give a shit
No,
at
they
all.
don't. They never do.
No, they never do.
It's always white people.
It's always white people. A lot of times, you know, white suburban women. It's pathetic.
Well, in terms of woke world, by the way, I saw this story today, and we probably would have done it on our show, but this is probably a good place for it, about woke books. And I don't know if you've probably noticed this. I'm sure you have. How it seems like not just Spotify, not just publishers, but Netflix, Spotify, all the big platforms have been signing these ridiculous deals with people like Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
You know,
Obama,
$100 million,
Bruce
Obama.
Springsteen
Yeah,
podcast.
Obama bombs with his podcast.
Horribly.
And they're like, oh, we'll find another platform, thank you. Because
Yeah.
Spotify said, I don't think we're going to redo that deal.
Yeah.
I have not heard anyone signing the
No.
Obamas to a podcast deal.
No, I think they've done it with Hillary on a few occasions.
But they didn't make any money for They lost their ass. They lost their ass on Harry and Meghan. But Harry and Meghan was all about mental health and helping women and all these ridiculous things that they claim to care about and they claim to be victims of. But anyway, publishing houses started giving all these big advances to these incredibly woke books. And the story I read today was about how they said inexperienced editors since the George Floyd summer have been just giving out these ridiculous bonuses to people like Elliot Page, because Elliot Page transitioned. So, my God.
What was his name before? Was it, or her, was it,
wait, did it start with an E?
Yeah, it was something like Elaine Page, but it was, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought she was a good actor, too. I mean, I enjoyed a movie she was in, and I had no problem. If she wants to be a dude, that's fine with me. But anyway, she wrote a book.
Ellen Page.
That's right.
Yeah.
She wrote a book called Page Boy, got a $3 million advance.
Sure.
It has sold 68,000 copies. Yeah.
So I'm surprised it sold that many.
I was too. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Did the publisher buy back?
Good question.
Because that's what they do a lot of times is buy up a lot of those.
You can only buy so many, though. I mean.
Well, didn't they give a massive advance to Governor Cuomo? When he was the hero of the country during COVID.
Oh, yeah. No, he made a ton of money off COVID.
Like $5 million on that book. And I think it sold, last I knew, it sold like 5,000 copies or something. It was ridiculous.
I got to tell you, I can't believe people buy books by like Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama. I'm like, who buys these books?
Nobody. I don't think anybody does.
I think some of them actually sell. I guess they do.
I think Obama has, personally, I think he's had like 8 autobiographies. Or something like that. His last one showed up at the house. I threw it in the garbage. They sent me 2 copies of it. They were this thick. I'm not kidding you.
I wonder what kind of bonuses he gets for putting them out.
Yeah.
Anyway, they mentioned that book specifically. Then this other book, which I won't even read the plot. It was so ridiculous. It's called Dear Miss Metropolitan.
What's the gist of it? Do you know?
3 young girls, black and biracial, are kidnapped and thrown into a decaying basement in Queens. And this is a very young writer, got $250,000 advance, sold 3,000 copies.
Sure.
Again, I don't know how it sold 3,000 copies.
Yeah.
And then Queen Feminist Western, Lucky Red by Claudia Craven's got a $500,000 advance, sold 3,500 copies. And, another one they put on there, and this is one that didn't surprise me at all. Jamel Hill.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah.
A memoir. Yeah. Jamel Hill was everywhere promoting this.
Yeah.
Good Morning America.
Yeah.
ABC News. NBC News, CBS, she was everywhere. You could not get away from her. Oh, my God, it's such a great book. She got great reviews. New York Times, everybody, glowing reviews. 5,000 copies. And she got, I think they said, a $1 million advance.
Is that it? I would have thought they would have thrown more at her. She's such
Everyone
a squeaky
throws
wheel.
money at her.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how bad she fails. She just gets up and gets another great deal. Spotify just dropped her finally.
Are these real publishing houses? Is this like Random House and Penguin?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
They're not mom and pop bullshit.
No. They couldn't afford bonuses like that.
You're right, right.
So they really thought that, this is what people want. They want stories like this. No, people... What we know, I bet you and I could do a better job figuring out what would sell books
100%.
than these people. And the other part of the story that I thought was interesting was, let's see, Joyce Carol Oates was quoted as saying, "A literary agent told me he can't get editors to read first novels by young white male writers, no matter how good, not interested." Another editor said, "We flat out decided we aren't going to look at certain white male authors. We don't want to be seen acquiring that stuff." And then another editor said, "We're not looking to pursue conservative works because if you do take a deal like that, you must be willing to deal with interpersonal discomfort, being treated as marginalized, or looked on with suspicion by colleagues."
Wow.
For taking anything that, maybe like Elon Musk or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
So wait, you mean to tell me all these people who are deciding who gets the book bonuses, none of them are on the right?
No.
Really?
They are.
I mean,
but they got to shut up about it. I mean, didn't you find it fascinating?
Ridiculous.
Don't
they want to make money? Don't they have to make money to stay in business?
You would think. Remember when Trump put his book out? It might have been called 45 or something, but it was like it was actually a pretty cool concept, regardless of how you feel about Donald Trump. And it was letters that people had written him over the years, like Oprah Winfrey, and he published these letters and stories about.
Were they all glowing letters? Or
Yeah, of course they
shitty
were.
ones.
I don't know.
Because I'd love to read the shitty ones.
Yeah, of course. But it was kind of like, Yeah, Oprah might say that I'm Satan himself now, but here's what she wrote before I was
really?
president.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was like this huge picture book thing. And I noticed that it was being sold at like Trump45.com only. Like no publisher would release this book, really? Like they wouldn't even touch it.
Wow, I wonder how it sold.
Who knows? I don't even
Well,
know.
Trump,
but-
I mean, he's pretty good business. His fucking NFTs sold.
Really?
They sold big. Yeah, they made a
Really?
lot of money on his NFTs.
What was
and
his
no
NFT?
NFTs are worth money.
Yeah.
They had NFTs of him, pulling guns out of a holster and like a superhero and Superman, Super Trump. They were really kind of silly. They were funny.
Yeah.
But they always showed him being some big stud.
Yeah.
And people bought him. They bought him fast too.
I'd love to get into that stuff. I love collecting stuff, whether it's football helmets and like unique musical stuff. Like I love that stuff. I'd love to get into NFTs or Bitcoin, but I can't figure it out. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works.
You do
and so-
understand it. It's just you don't make money on it. Is the problem? NFTs
that's
are
a real problem.
They've already lost like 90% of their value. Almost
Really?
every NFT out there. Yeah, Bitcoin still or crypto. They're still
Crypto,
there
that's what I meant.
There's a
There are
handful.
crypto specific ones that are making money, but generally speaking, I don't know. It's so
I know
flaky.
people that have invested shit tons in that, like Bitcoin. They're all,
Well, hopefully, if they invested a long, long time ago, they might be doing well off it.
yeah.
Or if you sold it when it was at 68,000
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Some of them, but I
Back around 30 now or something like that. But
yeah, it's not how I would long term invest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe I think all these Bitcoin is interesting. Well, crypto, but Bitcoin specifically. When Bitcoin got big, it was all males in their 20s who
Yeah.
were buying crypto. No women were buying crypto, and no older investors were buying crypto. And the word was that they're too stupid and old and dumb. They don't believe in this new currency and what it does for what the blockchain technology does. And it's like it doesn't matter what the technology does. What's the investment worth? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what really matters.
Yeah.
But it really was an extremely narrow group of people that were buying, and they were all convincing each other, like, I'm making a ton on this. And people go, oh my God, my friends are all getting rich on crypto. I got to get into it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of them bought it when it was at, 60,000,
Yeah.
70,000, 65, 55. And, anybody who bought in the last couple of years probably lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
When
Well-
Tom Brady was promoting it, when Tom Brady got paid millions.
Yeah,
to
that was
promote-
FTX, right? With
yeah,
Sam
FTX.
Price.
Yes,
Getting free or
and
whatever.
Matt Damon also.
Yeah.
Only the brave or whatever he said.
It's a good commercial.
That's
Well,
crypto.com.
Crypto
Yeah.
was at its zenith.
Yeah.
When those guys were
Those
being
were
paid.
Super Bowl ads.
Yeah, and anybody that bought based on their commercials lost their ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or anybody who was encouraged. Oh well, you got even Tom Brady's on the crypto train.
I remember looking at Bitcoin, and you probably won't even believe me, but it was $4,000. And this was during COVID, and I was in California. And I tried to sign up and buy, and I was just going to buy, I can't remember, a few $100s or $1,000 worth. And it was $4,000 a share.
Was it that low during COVID?
Yeah, or
What had it
right
had-
around COVID.
Had it just taken a big dump, or was
I
it still
don't-
way
I think
up?
it was. I was thinking that. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, see, fact check me, because I swear to God, I was like, oh, wow, it's dropped. I think it had dropped a lot, which is why I was like, oh, well, maybe it's worth getting, because it does this roller coaster thing.
It does. No,
And
that's why you can make money on it.
For whatever reason, the way it was set up is they send you an email with a code, and then you go back in and blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, I never got that email. And so I was like, shit. And by the time the next day, I want to say it was the next day, it had gone up to 6,000. And I was like, well, I'll wait for it to come back down. Fast forward 3 months, $60,000.
Yeah. March 2019. It was under $4,000.
There you go.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tried to buy it. I remember sitting at my parents' fucking dining room table on my phone trying to buy it at $4,000 or just under.
There are people who've gotten incredibly wealthy off
yeah,
crypto.
big time.
Oh,
I mean, there
yeah.
are those people.
There are also the
Unfortunately-
people that lost their passwords and $1 billion with it.
No, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
How bizarre. Wasn't 50 Cent, didn't he lose his password for 10 years or something? And then he found it. He's like, holy shit.
Oh God, it's probably worth a fortune.
In a year
Yeah.
from like March of 2020 to March of 2021, it went from $5,000 to $61,000.
That's when I was.
that was
that was it.
I honestly,
spike.
Did you buy any, Drew?
I never bought Bitcoin. No.
No.
It's not a real investment.
It's not stable enough, or
well, it's only worth what other people will pay for it because it's not a real thing. It's not like you're investing in cattle shares or Sony or you know, something that you can really, it is tangible. It's like investing in air.
Yeah, it's the way it was advertised. Kind of it was the new currency. Well, not that our dollar's really backed by gold anymore, anyway.
No.
But at least it's backed by a government, not just hackers.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, it's really amazing how far it got. To be honest, and it still exists, and there's still exchanges. But
they're a $1 trillion company, aren't they?
Probably.
Isn't Bitcoin like something like that?
The exchanges are worth a ton of money, but as we're finding out now, a lot of these exchanges were ripping people off and spending their money, and there's a number of exchanges that never invested people's money in Bitcoin. They just went out and spent it out their ass, and then disappeared. I know one guy, his widow was left holding the bag because he had spent all this money people invested in his exchange. In fact, there was a documentary about it. I think it was on Netflix or something. And so when he died, no one believed he died. They thought, that fucker's got my money. I know he does.
No, I sort of remember that.
Yeah, he had just been spending it like crazy. He never invested in the first place. The people got fake statements, and the widow was kind of left like,
Yeah. And she didn't know anything about it, of course.
I don't think she did, or she said she did. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But, then you got Sam Bankman-Fried. And there's just another one that got busted last week.
Really?
Yeah.
I had SafeMoon. Just got the rug pulled not too long ago. The founders, all that, they got indicted for yanking all the money out of the liquidity pool.
It was unregulated.
Yeah,
so
you can't.
Nobody had to follow any rules, and
it
then
sounds like it's very easy to hide.
Yeah, they acted like because it's a public doc, the transactions and everything, it's self-regulating, but it's really not because it's
not if people aren't following the rules, and there's no FDIC insurance if you get screwed.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Or if you lose your password or whatever. I mean, I just thought there's got to be some 1-800 number you can call, some 1-800 Bitcoin to break into your wallet or whatever, but there isn't.
There's not, no. No, it's the same we're seeing with, all the social media groups. Like, good luck. They make a ruling on something you've said or done or whatever someone told them you said, and they're just like, yeah, your shit's canceled. File something here. It's like, good luck. You'll run in circles for days. Try to deal with them.
You mean getting stuff thrown off because of copyright or whatever?
For anything or something you've said. And there's so many scams, too. I get a notice every other day saying something that was said on the show was reported.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Reported to
who?
It's
bullshit. It's a scam. A lot of them are scams.
And what are they looking for?
They're looking for you to click that link, and then they've got access to your computer. Then they're in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always take a screenshot of it and send it to one of my nerds, one of the engineers, and just like, is this bullshit or is this legit? And they're like, bullshit. Throw it away. Yeah. Scary stuff, man.
No, that's really freaky.
Scary stuff.
So I know you're following the Diddy story.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't been a ton. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Diddy?
I think he's the biggest piece of shit, honestly. I just think he is guilty of so many things, but people were so afraid of him that nobody would say anything. I mean, starting with Tupac arriving in an elevator, the door open, and he's been shot 6 times. Like, oh, wow, what happened to you?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was supposed to make it up that elevator, and he certainly wasn't supposed to live. But that was pretty wacky.
Do you remember when he came in the studio?
Yeah, I do. Mark was talking about that.
Yeah. I mean,
just barely.
I mean, he just came in. And it was in the height of his world too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was with J-Lo then, and like the whole work. And I don't know if you and Mike were even still there that day. You might have been, or you were editing or something.
Yeah, I don't think I met him though.
Yeah,
I don't even think I knew he was there.
He came in our office and just hung out with Mark and I because he wanted us to hear his new single, which was the the Zeppelin Cashmere cover that he did, which was a tribute, I think, to...
Yeah, he was trying to get rock airplay.
Right. But he came in himself. It wasn't like representatives came in, and he just came in. And then I still have it upstairs somewhere. He wrote his name and phone number down, and he's like, hanging out with Kid Rock in the studio tonight. Why don't you guys come hang with us? I was like, all right. And I remember calling his cell phone later, and he didn't answer, of course. But it's his kid on the answer machine, his like fucking toddler son.
Oh.
And he's like, You trying to reach my daddy. My daddy's not home right now, but leave a message and we call you back.
Oh, my God.
And then he never called me back. So, but that's as far as the anything with P. Diddy goes with me. But it sounds like he was, a little touchy-feely. With
a little more than that. I mean,
a little violent.
Hiring large black penised men to bang his girlfriend while he was sat in the corner beat off.
Yeah. What's up with that? I don't get that.
I don't get it either. No.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it must be that when you've nailed that many chicks and you can just
it's gotta be,
anybody,
right?
you just I got to try something different. I can't get off the normal way anymore. It's too easy.
Yeah, it has to be where you've done and seen everything. Like those celebrities, I mean, pussy comes to them like
although
crazy.
He's an ugly motherfucker. I don't.
Yeah, but he's P. Diddy.
Do you believe J-Lo really wanted to be with him? Don't you think she was just climbing?
Yeah, probably. What was he most known for? Production? Was he a producer? Was that?
Yeah,
well, he had his own label, right?
Yeah,
he did.
He did some rapping, but he was never.
But he was kind of the hype guy for real artists. Wasn't that kind of his thing? Like he owned the label, but if you're talking about Biggie, he would be the guy kind of in the videos. That's what they mocked him for.
Yeah, for demanding to be in the videos of all these guys. And
right, that East
Suge
Coast,
Knight
West
said,
Coast.
If you want to be with a label where I don't have to be in your video, you want to come here to death row.
Direct shot at P. Diddy at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't question his business acumen. He's obviously a great business person. He's got this tequila, or whatever it is, and he's got a clothing line. He's got everything.
He's a billionaire.
He's a billionaire, yeah, but it sounds to me like he's like R. Kelly with chicks. I mean, not quite like R. Kelly, but, he's sort of in that zone where he's not afraid to beat people up. His ex-security guy came out today and said that he witnessed many cases of abuse, and I'm sick of covering up. And yes, he did have to jump in and get between Diddy and Cassie and many others. And he said he's been quiet all this time, but he's not going to be quiet anymore.
Cassie's the one he forced her to do drugs and fuck male prostitutes.
The ones with big black dicks.
Yeah.
Only with big black dicks.
Only big black
Otherwise,
dicks.
Diddy would throw them
Are
out.
there any other black dicks, really? Let's be honest.
Well, maybe it was only the biggest black dicks.
Yeah.
They had to be large, black penised men.
Can I ask you this, though, in all sincerity? Because we're seeing this a lot now. Can nobody's, like your boy, your confidant, can no one shut their fucking mouths anymore? Does everybody have to do a tell-all and give your deepest, worst, like, stories out there? Whether it's Stormy Daniels, like, okay, Trump banged you and he paid you for it. Shut the fuck up. What are we doing? I don't want hookers telling all. And this guy, look, Will Smith's guy talking about,
when Will got murdered in the ass?
when he got killing. I have the audio there. I mean, I could listen to it forever. I've got it queued
I'm
up.
not sure I understood the audio. Maybe we better hear it again.
Yeah, we should. The 116 part. Well, no, you can start there. This is where he's talking about how Jada needs a giant cock.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
When she was banging Mark Anthony.
yeah, go ahead. And then at the 116 mark is where.
Hang on.
Wait, Jada was banging Mark Anthony?
Yeah, he supposedly, I don't know if this is the same interview I saw where he's talking about that Will Smith beat the fuck out of Jada.
Yeah.
Beat the fuck out of her. Walked in on her banging Mark Anthony on their
Mark
couch.
Anthony, J-Lo's husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That little puke has a big
right.
dick?
So
Right.
they were banging, I guess, like they were doing a movie together or something, and they were banging. Everybody knew they were banging there, but then he flipped because he came home and she was banging him on their couch.
Wow, is that is that in her book or something?
I don't know. He's telling the story.
Oh, man, I didn't know that part of the story. I was so hung up on him
to the
Will
point
being
where
murdered in the ass.
They didn't want anybody to know about it, that they set up a makeshift hospital in the house so that nobody saw her and know how bad it was.
Yeah.
For Mark Anthony?
How bad he beat her ass.
Her, yeah.
Oh, her ass.
Yeah, not Mark Anthony.
Okay.
Her ass.
So he didn't even beat up Mark Anthony?
So no, it was, and there was.
don't
They
think he
had
could.
an open
What?
thing where she was allowed to bang other dudes, but he had to like at least know about it
And watch.
and watch or something. And she fucked Mark Anthony behind his back, and he beat the dog shit out of her. That's
And they
the
moved
report.
they moved like a wing of the hospital into his house.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
Where did this story come from? I've never heard of this story.
Yeah, from this, really. Let's see.
To have that type of woman.
You saw her say that Will Smith had a small dick?
Oh, I am saying to you, if a woman is used to something the size of a baby leg, and you come in with a pinky toe, there's nothing you can do
pause that
to
for a second?
please her. You can buy her 80 cars. You can get her.
Doesn't being fucked by a baby leg sound gross and
Sounds
painful?
awful. Sounds awful.
A baby leg. I mean, a baby leg is never straight for one thing. It's always kind of bent and crooked.
Does a baby leg include the foot? Does it include just the shin?
Yeah,
and knee?
I think it includes the foot.
If it
just
does,
seems like it'd be
that's
a
an
horrible
awkward
fuck.
Yeah, terrible fuck.
80 private jets. If she's itching for that baby leg, she want that baby leg.
I've heard baby arm
So
before, but
much
baby
that
leg.
they
A baby
fall
arm
into
makes more
submission.
sense.
Yeah.
Who needs enemies when they got friends like you?
Oh, I could tell you what goes on the inside. Everybody else is just speculation.
Somebody told me I made my
Go to the
pictures in
116
book,
mark, I believe. I believe
Brother
it is.
Bilal?
Yeah,
Well, we're
that's Brother Bilal.
We're at a minute.
I love that. I love that.
Dude, this is what Jada makes the new people do. And I ain't gonna say new, they probably been there after myself, right? They will make you check into a rehab. And they'll pay for the rehab.
He's got a lot to get off his chest.
They're gonna pay for
Yeah,
the
he does.
rehab. And you have to go if you want
Rehab
to.
for what?
work. And then I've saw sexual acts that I walked in on.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin.
Okay.
Hollywood is the hurry up and wait game. So 3 minutes later, after them telling me, "Hey, you got eyes on Will. We need him to come watch this." So I'm running all over the studio. He's not in his dressing room. I go to the cafeteria. I'm like, but I see his car there. I'm like, where's this guy at? So now I'm holding Dwayne down too. So I have the keys to his dressing room. So I'm like, yo, and they're calling I'm on walkie-talkie and they calling my cell phone. Yo, we need to get Will here. And I'm like, yo, kind of fuck down. Like, I'm trying to find this. Like, this is unlike him, right? So, all right, I open the door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having anal sex with Will.
Let me process that for a second.
Better.
What's the matter with her?
Yeah.
And,
You know what the fuck
Will
you
was
just said.
bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up, killing him, murder, like murder.
God, that's such a picture, too. You really see it.
You really do.
Why is she so upset?
But yeah, when she says we got to process this, like what? You
Fucking
never heard
Will
of two
loved
guys?
it. Will fucking loved it. Be happy for him.
The guy was getting murdered in the ass, and he
yeah.
absolutely
And he
adored
loved it.
Are you worried for Will Smith at this point? Like
Yes.
he seems like a very sensitive dude.
Oh, I think
And,
he may shoot up a mall or something.
Right.
Honestly. I think he's a total loon.
Yeah.
Just a complete lunatic. And we saw it at the Oscars.
Yeah.
I mean, when he went up and hit Chris Rock, that was one thing. But then when he sits down and goes, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking..." I mean, it was
Yeah.
like, that guy is nuts.
He's
insane.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah,
I mean, you have 5
it's
billion
weird,
people
though.
watching in the world.
Yeah.
And he's doing that.
It's weird too because the guy's been an international giant superstar for 30 years. We never heard of anything about Will Smith.
No, and he seemed like
Never.
such a great guy. Everyone loved Will Smith.
His
I
PG
loved Will
raps.
Smith.
Yeah.
Everyone loved him. His music, his movies, everything.
Tra-
And then in 5 minutes, it was like, oh my God, he's a nut.
The
He's an
whole thing.
absolute nut. And now it's all falling apart.
We should have known from his fucking kids. His
yeah,
kids.
I hate
were
his kids.
I hated them.
No, he has the shittiest kids ever.
We hated them years and years ago. It was like, okay, whatever you've done to raise these kids, you fucking failed. These
No.
kids are a nightmare.
Yeah, the kids, I think, are the that's probably the best indicator of what weirdos they are. Because
Yeah.
you're right. The kids, that was an advanced kind of a foreshadowing because they are
Yeah.
weird as hell and they're fucking soft as hell.
Yeah, yep.
Always
yep.
bitching. But now, I mean, God knows what happened in this marriage. This Mark
crazy.
Anthony story. Where did this story come from? Where did you see
I think
that
it's in the
story?
same interview. I think
And
it's
Brother Bilal came out with that one
Brother
too.
Bilal,
yeah. Yeah,
God, I got to follow Brother Bilal.
No doubt.
Right?
He's spilling the hot tea for sure.
How do you feel
Like I
about
say,
these
wait,
people
Mark-
though dumping this shit? Like it would suck to have someone that's like your
It even
fucking
says Mark
guy
Anthony
right
for
there. No.
years, and then it's like, oh, you've never done shit. Nobody knows who you are. Now you're gonna write a book and tell all my shit.
I know.
Like
Well,
that kind of sucks.
No,
man.
any standards have completely disappeared.
They're
Like,
gone.
The prostitute to John confidentiality, that's gone.
Yep.
Now, what did Brother Bilal get out of this? Does he,
wrote
have a book?
I was
He's
gonna
got a
say,
book.
The book's probably coming.
Yeah.
Because
He's
I
got a
never
book.
even heard the name of the book or anything. I think it was so stuck on Will just getting jackhammered in the ass. I never even heard the name of the book.
Yeah, there is. Or wait, no. You know what? I'm sorry. He might. Diddy's guy has a book. That's coming
the security
out.
guard.
The security guard does, I believe.
That's not uncommon. I'm a little
Roger Bond.
surprised that Diddy didn't make that guy sign an NDA.
Yeah. But even NDAs, I mean, didn't Trump have Stormy Daniels sign something?
Yes. Now in her case though, he sued the shit out of Stormy Daniels. She
And
owes him $1.4 million or something.
Yeah. She'll never pay him, and he doesn't
she
give a
won't.
shit.
But it is pretty funny that he won in court.
Yeah.
I mean, he could technically put a lien on a property or something. If she doesn't pay in a certain time.
Yeah, well, it's funny too. It's not funny. It's actually sad when she goes through all this and she's hailed as this liberal hero for taking down Trump, all that garbage that went on.
And she's such a piece of shit too. Did you ever see her in an interview?
Oh yeah,
she's the worst. She's boring as hell.
Boring as shit. But then,
she's dumb.
And of course, she
idiot.
is. And then you see her, and it's like, here's this 40-year-old traipsing her ass out onto a stage, stripping, and you're like, oh, sweetheart, you're still doing this?
No,
really?
I just remember seeing her on Kimmel, and it was this big, oh my God, she's on Kimmel. Oh, this is huge.
Yeah.
And she was a horrible guest.
Of
Just
course.
a bore, not funny at all.
Yeah.
Just a drag.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I had to believe that he was even disappointed after she left, although he got all the promotion in the world.
What's going on with him, by the way? That dude's gone off the deep end, man.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I can't put my finger on it. I would have never seen that coming. I would think he would be the guy who would just make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
And certainly make a lot of fun of Trump, but make a lot of fun of Biden too.
Do you know what
Biden? There's so many great laughs with Biden.
Oh my God, him falling up the stairs on Air Force One is enough for me. I want that on a T-shirt.
Well, look at all the times he wanders the wrong way off the stage, or he just trails off while he's talking
like a Roomba. It's so true. It's so true.
I don't know why. I don't know why Kimmel felt he had to take a side like that. I mean,
him and Stern are the most surprising to me because they have the most skeletons in their closet when it comes to blackface, when it comes to like raunchy humor. And you know what's sad
Stern's
to me?
not. I mean, Stern is so far ahead of Kimmel in terms of that stuff.
Oh yeah, leaps and bounds. But I still remember Karl Malone reading the Karl Malone bits with Kimmel in full body, black body. And Oprah, I think he did.
I think Kimmel though, once he becomes a part of the left, he can survive any of that. Because they won't. In fact, the Stern thing, if you remember, when the Stern blackface story came out about that skit, where he uses the N-word a few times and he's playing a black guy, yeah.
That's with what's his name, the neighbor on George.
Oh, George Jefferson.
George Jefferson. Yeah.
Well, the thing that Stern used, and I'm sure he used it to his advantage, was that nobody cared about that until Don Jr. retweeted it. And so people were like, because nobody in the left retweeted it.
No,
nobody in the left cared
not.
to take down Stern because he's part of the left.
Right.
So he can have whatever he wants in his background. I mean, he could be at Klan rallies.
Yeah.
And they would say, oh, what's the big deal? I mean, that was 40 years ago.
Yeah. But they don't give anybody else that grace.
No, if you're on the right, you won't. No, you won't get that kind of.
No, you'll get Dean
break.
Caned. You turn into Kirk Cameron. You're a joke. You're laughed at by people. But what bothers me the most about Kimmel...
What is Kirk Cameron doing? Is he a big conservative?
Yeah, like a super Christian conservative dude. And it's just like, they just...
What is that twink up to? I mean...
I don't know. I have no idea. Well, he was just on Landau. I just saw a picture of him and Landau together.
Really?
And it's hilarious because he's shorter than Landau.
No kidding.
Yeah, which I was like, holy shit, Landau's not usually the tallest dude in the room, but with Kirk Cameron he was.
No, I
but
just haven't even heard his name in eons.
No. Kimmel, when I think back to all the years on the Drew and Mike show, Kimmel might have been my favorite interview.
Oh,
ever.
He was great. He was so nice.
When he came in studio.
Yeah.
And then we went and hung out with his band and backstage.
Yeah, when he's doing the show in Detroit.
He was doing the Super Bowl. Is
Right.
what it was for. And we had the best time. He was so good on the air. So funny, so friendly.
He's still great on the air. I mean, he's still great with guests, and I think he's fantastic. I just don't. I wish he wasn't associated with one side or the other, for that matter.
Yeah.
I wish he just, would go down the middle. And he can't be perfectly down the middle.
No.
But I wish he just made fun wherever it appeared instead of just, going after Trump over and over and over and over. Because honestly, not only does it become kind of boring and like, God, why is he just taking one side in this? He's a talk show host.
Yeah.
His audience has dwindled.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, I don't think he
of
has a
course.
million people every night anymore.
Well, the same thing has happened to the other guy, CBS, who was on the
Yeah,
Daily
Colbert.
Show. Colbert.
Colbert does better than Kimmel.
Well, Colbert had zero audience until he started beating on Trump. And then he got that initial bump from that, and he's just ridden that all the way.
Well, wait. Was there a period between Letterman and Colbert? Was there a long stretch between them? Because didn't he take Letterman's job? On
there had to have been.
CBS?
There had to have been. Yeah, because I remember there was like, it was like, oh, it's coming soon. And I remember the skits coming out to promote it. And I was like, God, this seems lame as shit. And I watched the first episode and I was like, this is...
Oh, yeah. He'll have
This is the
Chelsea
problem.
Clinton on. He
Yeah, it
has
was
horrible
garbage.
fucking guests.
Garbage.
And, if you took the totals of The Tonight Show, Jimmy Kimmel, and The Late Show with Colbert, the total audience, and compared it to what those three shows did 10 years ago,
Yeah.
millions of people have just disappeared from late night TV.
Gone.
Millions.
What's gotten into them, though? Like the COVID stuff seemed to drive them all insane, too, where it was like...
Yeah,
Colbert, Kimmel, this idea that, like, do you realize you're going to bat for Big Pharma right now? Like, since when? Never in our lives has it been like, oh, yeah, we're all team Big Pharma.
I don't understand why there has not been a reckoning over COVID. Like,
No.
wow, we really got that wrong.
Big time.
We've got a commission together, and they've determined that, oh my God, we went wildly overboard.
Yeah.
Masks are not as good as we thought they were.
They're garbage.
It was stupid to keep kids out of school.
Yep.
It was ridiculous to, have 20-year-olds forced to stay home because they're going to murder their grandmother. I mean, to stop people who are 20, 25, 30 years old from living their lives was ridiculous.
Insanity.
And do you remember how people treated Sweden like, oh my God, those idiots in Sweden. Can you believe that they're just living their lives, those
Yeah,
lunatics?
yeah.
It turns out Sweden has a lower death rate than all of Europe.
us. Yeah.
And yes, the U.S. too.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you.
And
The
Florida,
biggest-
too, they still rip on Florida. And it was like, wait a minute. Even
Florida had the same or less deaths than California per capita.
Exactly.
California was completely shut down. Florida was completely open.
I was in California for all that. It was nuts.
Yeah,
People
drove Adam Carolla nuts. I know that much.
Oh, yeah.
Following him on Twitter.
It drove me nuts because I had fucking family members that bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. And I was like, are you out of your mind? This is insanity.
A lot of people left California. California is losing population
For the
now,
first
for the first time
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah, it should. I mean, Drew,
That's
I
so
was there.
crazy.
I was there, and my brother-in-law and I were walking around in downtown San Francisco one day, and there was like a weed shop or something. He's like, I want to get one of those vape pens. And I was like, okay. And so we're walking. We had to come up these stairs in the city. It was like down in like a subway area or something. We come up these stairs, and there's three what appear to be homeless people in front of us, and they get to the top of the stairs, and the three of them are in full conversation when we're right behind him, takes his pants down and shits on the sidewalk, and then doesn't wipe or anything, just pulls his pants up. And this was so normal.
What, did you think he was going to pull out a roll of toilet paper?
I didn't know. Good point.
At least have a finger wipe or
Here's where I got a roll for you.
Yeah, I don't know what I expected him to do, but it was like, this is so normalized. Like, that just happened.
Didn't even break conversation.
Yeah, didn't even break conversation. Exactly. No, it just kept going on, and I'm like, what fucking planet are we on right now where this is okay?
No, if you told me that there was anything that could take San Francisco down, I would have said, no, there is
It's not possible.
It's the most beautiful place. It's an incredible city. There's so much to do there, and yet everything I read about San Francisco now is just horrible. It sounds like a
nightmare.
disaster. There's no one downtown anymore.
No.
Like somebody did they shot a video in, I guess it was pre-COVID, and then they shot one during COVID, which was, of course, there's no one there because everybody's inside, all the schools are called off, and nobody's allowed to do anything. And then they shot a video in like 2022, and there was still no one on the streets. And I mean, they went hour by hour on the same street, and there was virtually no one doing anything, except for there were these tents all down the street in front of these businesses, just tents of homeless people.
Drew, I'm telling you, it was crazy because where my parents live in Silicon Valley, like right in a town called Sunnyvale, which is literally a stone's throw from the global world headquarters of Apple. So, you know, that the big spaceship looking thing?
Yeah.
That's right across the street. Their property, where their property starts and ends, is clear. And my mom and I used to walk If you then walk up to that property, security's on your ass, throwing you the fuck out.
At Apple?
At Apple.
Right.
When you go to where their
inclusive.
property line is, there's a porta potty and then homeless for a fucking straight mile.
Really?
And they have tents the whole way and bookended on either end.
And
is
Apple's
porta
cool with
potties.
that?
Apple won't let that happen on their land, but where their land ends, it picks right up and it goes. And these people act like it's their home. Drew, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. There's like a worn out, cut in half welcome mat in front of a tent and a broken grill and a kid's fucking tricycle missing 2 wheels. And there's someone sweeping out in front of it.
There's kids living homeless with these people?
yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And I was down. I went and visited. I saw Newberg and Raj, another comic buddy of ours down in L.A. And Raj and I went down to Malibu, right? Just at Roy Rogers Beach in Malibu, and driving down there, and it's like RVs are all on the side of the road. And he's like, "Yeah, that's the thing now. They can't tow them. They deem that their property." So lining up on one of the most premier coastlines on planet Earth are just broken down vehicles that people are living in.
Oh, so they somehow get the vehicle to park there, and then you can't move them.
You can't move them. And it's like, wow, this made sense, I suppose. I just had Skid Row, but this is nuts.
But don't the people have a problem with this?
Yes, they do. And
aren't they making
louder.
noise about it?
They are, but it hasn't been enough to move the needle, apparently.
Till APEC came to town.
Yeah, till APEC came to town. Exactly.
Heard 'em
Oh,
all
and
up
yeah, they
to get 'em
cleaned it
out.
up for, right. I
And
saw
Gavin
that.
Newsom, how insulting. If you were a resident there, I would have been so insulted. He's like, yeah, boy, the leaders of the world that came here, they've got to be looking around going, well, what's Fox News been talking about all this time? And it's like, oh, yeah, you cleaned it up in 24 hours, asshole. What do you mean? So you're lying to all these world leaders about how this is presented, because within a week, all of it was back.
Well, that's funny, too, that he could actually think he could get away with saying that just Fox News is making it all up.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, I've seen plenty of people talking about what a disaster San Francisco is, not just Fox News.
No, exactly. It's
a lot of those Western cities seem insane, like Portland and Seattle, and it just sounds like madness. I mean, remember when Seattle, those people just took over?
Yeah,
that
and
area?
Chad. Chop.
And then somebody
Troy almost went. Troy
Like-
wanted to go.
I wanted to try.
Really?
it.
He wanted to go visit Chop just to see what it was like.
Oh, it's so safe.
Murder
It's
capital of the
wonderful.
world.
No,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful, and this is how everything should be run. And then the next, 2 people are murdered.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know what? This wasn't so cool after all.
Yeah, and they were carding people. They were checking IDs, and they had armed security driving all around, and they settled all arguments with fights.
And
They just
zero
beat the shit out-
infrastructure.
And zero infrastructure.
And they were blocking the police station there.
Yeah,
that you
the
couldn't get the
ambulance
police-
couldn't
I
come
know,
in.
it's
Someone
fucking
died
crazy.
because they couldn't get an ambulance in. They had to negotiate with them to get an ambulance in. And all those businesses, that was 6 blocks. In downtown Seattle, those businesses are
I talked to a guy who ran a rental, I think it was a rental car place on that block, and he had people break the window to get in, and they were trying to steal a car. I think that happened twice. And I'm trying to remember what his biggest beef was. Well, first of all, the fact that they even allowed it to happen. But it sounded like the police didn't want to do anything about the people who were breaking into his business either.
Yeah.
Just nobody could do anything because they couldn't come in there.
No.
Because they weren't allowed. Because, they policed themselves. They were so good at it.
Yeah, they had a warlord.
No, I don't know. I just see this shit and I go, I must just be really old because this must be happening what happens when you get old. You can't comprehend what is going on because I can't comprehend a lot of
Here's
this.
the thing, though, Drew. I think that's true for a lot of us. But you are not that old, and we're not that old. Old we may be, but we're not that fucking old. This is so different than, why you kids get off my lawn type shit, which is historically what we've seen, is like, old man doesn't want kids throwing a football on their lawn.
Well, sometimes people tell me that I'm doing that, and I feel like,
Bullshit.
I don't feel that way, but there are times when I feel like, that must be what's going on because everything seems so fucked up right now.
Yeah.
I don't remember voting for this.
No.
I don't remember voting for pronouns. I don't remember, and I remember we were talking about this one day, and I said, Mark, who determined that we would use, they, them pronouns, for example, which make no grammatical sense.
Yeah.
And Mark was, buzzing away in Google and, trying to get to the bottom of it.
He's pretty liberal, too, Mark.
Yeah, but he was actually trying to find the answer, which truly the answer was that the AP style guide accepted it. And once the AP style guide accepts it, that's what all the journalists accept as being, that's what it is. It is, so it is.
Yeah, they're doing it with definitions now. They're changing definitions, and Webster's is falling in line and being like, yeah. So what you knew as racism has a new definition now. And it's not what it was for centuries. And it's like, boy, oh boy.
What's the new definition of racism?
I'd have to look it up. We did this, a year or two ago, but it's, it used to be the belief that your race is superior to other races. And now it's just like coded in this bullshit. See if you can find it, T.
Yeah, like anti-vax. They changed the definition.
Anti-vax. Yeah. They changed the definition of that. I remember, I think it was the word racism that they changed to now it's like anybody who doesn't think, black people are the greatest things that's ever walked the earth. Or
that's a good example. I mean, there's just a lot of things where I go, when did we decide this? How did we decide this? I don't remember being asked. I don't remember anyone being asked. It's just all of a sudden it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's true in San Francisco where people are going, how do we get from having a pretty normal business here to having homeless people in front of every fucking business?
Yeah.
And they matter more than my business when I pay taxes.
And it's not like they're going out and voting. The homeless aren't going and voting. They're not spending their money. They're not spending money in these establishments. Like, who are you sucking up to?
No, I don't get it. I don't understand. Honestly, I have no idea. That's what I mean.
We have a problem if someone like you doesn't understand it, Drew, because you're kind of my go-to for like common sense, reality, smart. It's like if you're having a problem, like, because it's driving me insane, honestly, because I feel the same way. Like, who voted for this, and what the fuck does Xi mean? I'm not calling you Xi. And you get to invent new fucking pronouns every week?
Barely make sense because if you're not a he or a she, then it's somewhere in the middle.
But
and that shit, like, that's just made up.
When someone uses they, them pronouns and they're in a story in the news,
it's so confusing.
It's so confusing.
It's crazy.
It's like they went to the store and blah, blah, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Did I skip a paragraph? Who was he with?
They here.
Who was he with?
But that's what I mean. I think if you actually asked the entire population to vote on pronouns, they'd say, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I really believe that. It might be 63 to 37, but there's no doubt in my mind that most people find that to be really dumb.
Absurd.
And why we're catering to this really tiny group of people who are, oh my God, but that's how I feel, because sometimes I'm like him and sometimes I feel like her, so I'm them. It's the only way I can get by is with that pronoun.
Yeah.
It's like, so we're all going to go, okay. No, I don't know. And it's not that I have anything against the people that want to use those pronouns. It's just that it doesn't make any fucking sense.
And when did we get to a time when okay, you want to do that as yourself? Like, knock yourself out. I don't care if you call yourself a fucking whatever. Do you?
No,
man.
I don't care either.
But don't demand that I A, know all this nonsense, and B, have to address you that way, or I'm somehow worthy of losing my job.
Right. No,
like,
it's a crime.
It's
some
a crime.
people want it to be a crime.
They want it to.
It is in Michigan now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually made it a crime.
Is that within state, with state government employees, or is that the entire state, or what is that?
Yeah, well, but misgendering can be considered
a hate crime
of some sort. Yeah.
And that's happening more and more. I mean, I don't know where you go as a society with this stuff, because you're right. Nobody voted for this. No. It's the same.
No,
bitch.
I really
Stretch
think
just put that one in.
Yeah, Stretch and Gretchen.
I think most people on the even on the left would say, "Oh, come on, that's silly."
Yeah,
it's just. And I just saw Demi Lovato just said that she's using she/her now because she feels more feminine
back.
lately.
Yeah.
Like, wait, so everyone is supposed to go, oh, okay, Demi Lovato, she's they, them, and now she's she/her. Okay, so got that straight. No, why would we? I don't understand. Other than the people that are directly in your life who really matter to you,
right.
Who else needs to know your fucking pronouns?
Yeah.
People put their pronouns on their Instagram profiles and stuff.
Yeah.
As if, everyone has to remember everyone's pronouns.
Right.
Who you ever might address.
And if someone gets it wrong,
instead of just
you've
knowing,
been aggrieved on
it's ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous, and I don't know where it goes, because I think most people recognize it for the nonsense it is. But, and even my liberal friends, like I was saying, Jen and Chris, my sister, got me a plane ticket to go to California for the holidays. And Jen was like, yeah, here's your ticket. I was like, okay. And it didn't have, for the pronoun, it was like X'd out or something. I was like, you didn't put Mr. in
your
there?
Your plane ticket has a pronoun on it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And so it was like Mr. Miss.
How long has that been going on?
A year or two?
A couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
And it says, and one of them was like, so it's like man, woman, or don't wish to say. And he had checked don't wish to say. And this is one of the most liberal fucking guys out there. He's making a mockery like it's one of these black Santas in a wheelchair. He's doing that because I was like, you could have put me down as Miss. He goes, yeah, but it's funnier this way. Like, he's making a mockery of it. Like, who are you catering to? And the people that do play along with this, most of them are fucking making fun of you. Most of them are joking at your expense.
I don't think God, I'm trying to think. Who's the guy that played the Flash, the actor?
Oh, Ezra
Miller.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, who has been in a million disastrous situations, assaulted women, given drugs to children.
But he claimed to be a woman, so it's just a chick on chick fight,
Because he's non-binary, then we just let him do anything and we don't punish him in any way. Although, Chris Harrison defends somebody who they think is a racist, so he must be fired, never allowed to work again.
Yeah, bragging about going to a plantation party, wasn't it, or something like that?
He didn't even do it. He just defended the girl that did it. But so he must go. And Ezra Miller, who gives drugs to children and who assaults women, I mean, more than once, he gets to be in the Flash or do whatever he wants. Anyway, I read a lengthy story about him. And in the story, they had referenced that he used they, them pronouns. And, that he was shitty because some magazine didn't use the right pronouns or something. And then they interviewed two of his friends who they were talking about his problems, etc. And they said, he doesn't give a shit about what pronouns you use. I'm a friend of his. He would never give me shit about calling him the wrong. No, not at all.
So what is that? That's just got to be bloated ego. It's got to be such an ego that you're demanding attention. Me. It's about me.
Well, it's just like a bat he can hit people with. Yeah. It's just it's just a little device you can use to come down on people because they made a simple mistake that they never should have even had to come close to.
And even if they're fucking with you and it's not a mistake, so what?
Or he just didn't like the article. Maybe
exactly that way you can deflect.
Yeah,
right. Doesn't matter what they actually said.
Proper pronouns.
Yeah,
discredit them right right off the face.
This idea as a nation that we've taught the younger generation that somehow they have a right to never be offended. Right? Like, that's the way they feel about this. Like, you can't offend me or it's a crime. It's like, you know what? You might have some battles in life. You might find some things offensive, but that's on you, bro. However you deal with this is how you deal with this. Did someone commit a crime against you? Did someone call you a faggot and beat the shit out of you? Because that's a problem. That's a problem. But if they didn't address your pronouns properly, that's your problem.
Yeah,
not mine.
Honestly, I don't know how often people are really taken to task for something like that or harmed in some way.
Well, they don't even want to debate it, though. They'd rather just shut it down.
No, it's just the feeling. I noticed this about Diddy when it came to TMZ, because I usually watch TMZ, and I'm very amused by it on a lot of different levels. And the Diddy thing, I mean, they really soft-pedaled it like, well, it's a he said, she said. He's stepping down from his company, but he said it's only temporary, and he'll come back when the time is right. But then when it comes to Chris Harrison, again, The Bachelor, or Morgan Wallen, the video of him saying the N-word to his white friend, it's like they just clobbered the shit out of those guys.
Right.
Imagine
if three women came out with violence and sexual assault allegations against Don Jr. Would the guys at TMZ have the same attitude?
Oh, no, of course not.
It's a he said, she said. Of course they wouldn't. Which is the hypocrisy of that is what drives me nuts.
No, but it's like words are more violent than fists.
Right.
In this case.
Right.
Chris Harrison defended somebody, and so he must go. He's terrible. He defended a racist. And do you remember Piers Morgan lost his fucking job over that?
Yes.
Sharon Osbourne lost her job over that.
Over defending Piers Morgan.
Diddy's just cruising along, doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Look at Matt Arija, the punt god, drafted by Buffalo. Like that story should infuriate people.
Where is that story? Will no one pick him up?
No, like really?
They can't
that story's
pick him up?
blown up. Of course they could pick him up. He's just out there.
So Deshaun Watson can assault 36 people who massage him and probably thousands more. People he flew in that he met on Instagram. Oh, I got to fly this masseuse in from Atlanta, And then she says, he did this, he did that. He wanted me to do this to him, and we take his word for it. But Matt Ariza, we have one incident which has been disproven, and he must never play football
Never again. Can't even hear his name again. I haven't seen a single story about him. Like,
is that just because he's a punter and punters aren't important enough?
yeah, but he's the punt
Or
god.
white.
I mean, yeah, he's a cisgendered white male.
But he's not a quarterback. He's a white male.
Yeah, but that
might have
dude
something
could
to do with
punt
it.
the ball out of the stadium. Like,
Okay,
it
if
was
he-
amazing to watch.
If he was Patrick Mahomes, though,
He'd
it would be
playing.
forgiven, right?
Of course he would.
No, but it is stupid.
And the fact is he was a rookie, so no one's ever seen him in the NFL unless you were watching him at San Diego State. Nobody really knows what he can do.
Well, that's kind of why I'm so fascinated by this Blackhawks guy. I cannot believe they waived him.
Yeah,
I mean, he
tells
sounds
you
like a
there's more-
very good player.
Sounds like there's more to that story that they don't.
I know, but I mean, my curiosity is, I'm just dying. Like, what did he do? Holy shit! I mean, it sounds
He fucked
horrible.
Connor Bernard's mom.
I mean, that would make sense. Actually.
Yeah, it would make
That's
sense.
the only thing that makes sense.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
And where
know
where
it.
does a rumor like that start? If it's not
Exactly.
you know, because that's
I know that's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere that started, and
Exactly.
I don't know why. It could just be some crazy person started and sounded so good and so salacious. It just
Right,
carried
yeah.
on in the internet. But the other thing,
Oh, I want to tell you. I want to tell him Dominic Hasek stories right now. Oh, I can't. I'll tell you off the air. Except,
wow.
yeah, McCarty's told us some stuff, and it's like, holy fuck. Except the one, remember the one he did tell us too about he was like, you know those tiny little Gatorade towels that they use on their hands and stuff on the bench? He would wrap one of those around his waist, and his giant cock would stick out the bottom of it. But, yeah.
so Dominic Hasek is hung.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately.
You know, that fucking asshole. I mean, does he have to? Do you have to give the guy that has the lowest goals against average in the history of the NHL a giant cock?
Exactly.
Isn't that too much for one person to handle?
Of course.
Bullshit.
that's how you get there.
Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah, but going back to Matt Ariza, if we're spinning back there, I don't understand. Like, that's the problem with like this country we supposedly live in, where innocent until proven guilty is thrown
no due
right out
process.
the window when it comes to these athletes.
Yeah, but with other people, it's it doesn't matter how fucking guilty you are. Like Deshaun Watson,
Yeah.
36 women,
What was he
24 are
doing?
suing him.
He was just rubbing his dicks on
He
them,
was
right?
pushing
wasn't
their heads on his
raping.
cock. He
Yeah,
was, he was. A couple said there was, forcible sex.
Oh, were there ones that said forcible sex?
Yeah, and he was putting their hand on his dick, and
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
masturbating, and he was humping the air. He was humping the air.
Humping the air.
Yes, he was.
Good Lord.
Trying to get the girls excited, I guess.
Which just tells you, if you're to that point, how many years of bad behavior and like you
That's
don't
the tip
just
of the
start
iceberg.
by humping the air, right? It
No.
takes years to get to humping the air or
No, there-
forcibly putting someone's head on your dick. Like,
There were text messages, where this woman was crying when he left, and he said something like, I'm sorry if you were upset, and I wouldn't want you to get hurt by this, or something to that effect, kind of
Yeah.
like threatening her.
oh yeah.
And there was a few text exchanges that were very similar. I can't even believe that the Browns signed him to the biggest deal of any player. In
Fully
fact,
guaranteed.
Remember,
Of course it's the Browns.
they deferred like $60 million. So if he got fined that first year
Yeah.
or was suspended, he would only lose a couple $1 million.
Yeah. It's the Browns. What do you expect?
But Matt Ariza, and he can't punt for anybody, and he's been cleared.
Cleared. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were no charges
I don't even-
initially brought. Like the San Diego
Exactly.
police have come
They
out
investigated it. They didn't press charges.
Yeah.
It came out.
So
they
because-
signed them, and then another wave of shit came up.
Yeah, the other guys that apparently raped her in the room too and ripped out her nose ring and her belly button ring, none of those guys were prosecuted for anything.
Nope.
What? But so if someone signs him, that's terrible, because how could you sign a person who was falsely accused of raping someone?
Right. That's the batshit
But he
world
was
we're
false.
living in.
I mean, why would you say because he was falsely accused? Because he didn't do it. So of course we signed him.
Hasn't Joe Mixon taught us anything? Once you get him on your team, get a couple years, a couple good seasons behind him, and no one cares.
And
no
Joe
one talks
Mixon,
about him.
There was just a shooting in his backyard this year.
Was it really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think his sister shot at somebody who was bothering them or something
Of
like
course.
that.
Yeah.
But-
and I mean, he absolutely slugged abroad.
Oh yeah.
I mean-
Oh God, yeah. She did hit him first.
Well,
Remember?
that's true.
She did hit him first. I'm just saying.
Self-defense.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying it was okay to hit her that hard,
the
but
Snooki rule.
she did hit him first. I mean,
Yeah.
and the same thing with Dana White. Remember the Dana White
Oh,
thing?
yeah, his wife.
His wife hit him first. I was like, wait, why is he in so much trouble? She hit him first. If you're outraged at him, shouldn't you be outraged at her?
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's no
I mean,
difference,
watch the video. She really. In fact, she
Smacked
might have hit him harder than he hit her.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok video the other day. It was some black dude and a white chick, and she walks up and she's all fucking blah blah, and she just goes whack, smacks him across the face, and he just hauls back and goes, boom. This bitch went off all fours.
Oh, yeah.
Straight
Airborne.
up airborne. He launched her across the room.
Well, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. She hollered and walloped him first. It was like, well, you know what, sweetheart? You don't
She
walk
got up,
and
said she was sorry, and started making a sandwich.
I did not understand.
Mission accomplished.
In the Dana White story, for example, his wife was actually passing some degree of judgment on him. Like, well, yeah, I know it was awful, but, he's a great man overall. I'm like, no, you hit him first. What the fuck are you having you have no right to judge anyone.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
started it.
No, we've got this society building right now where that's the way it is. Like, oh, you can't under any circumstances lay hands on a woman. It's like, well, I've never touched
I do
a
agree.
woman.
I do agree with that.
I do too. I've never laid hands on a woman, but dude, you push someone too far. You start fucking throwing hands at someone.
If you hit someone,
you might get hit back.
Sometimes it's a reflex.
Yeah, guys
with
know this rule.
With Joe Mixon, I'm convinced it was a reflex. Like,
Yeah.
she hit him, and actually, can we watch that video?
Yeah, absolutely. See if you can find. Didn't he claim she said? I mean, the go-to. She called me the N-word or something like that. I think he claimed the N-word was dropped, which is
That's a
is
good
free
move.
pass.
I mean, if it was true or not, it was a good move.
Yeah.
Good old Google. Joe Mixon hits. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Google doesn't know.
No, it's
crazy.
weird. Got all kinds of things to say before, and then I get to hits, and nope, no, we're not sure what you're talking
that's
about.
been taken offline?
No.
Oh, no. It's
The
just
search bar, we laugh our asses off. Like if you try and search Justin Trudeau blackface, you'll get like Justin Trudeau BLAC, and then it'll give up. It'll be like BlackRock. It wants to guess what you're going to say.
Well, blackface, obviously, duh.
Yeah,
Right.
but no, you can write blackface, and Google's like, I don't know where you're going with this. I don't know what to show you. I don't know what this is about. Try it. Type in Justin Trudeau
Because his
blackface.
people have done such a great job of pushing it down.
Yeah,
guess.
or the liberal bullshit that is Google.
I don't know what you mean. Let's see. Let's see, good old Joe.
But you think if they're so
She's a
liberal,
cute chick,
they would hate the blackface so much they would want you to see it.
Yeah, but he's on their team. That's right. Drew wants to get a closer look.
Right up close.
Listen, this video is disturbing. There's no way around it, but we're
That's all I
showing it
got.
to you because it's
Pretty
been
terrible
released
that
by
she
the
hit him.
attorneys for
Yeah.
college football star.
I don't remember that she hit him. That's funny.
I swear to God, I think I'm right.
Yeah, you probably are. You
And
usually
now
are.
it's finally being released to the public.
Yeah, Andy Schultz has more in the Bleacher Report because a lot of people
shut
wondering
up.
why now.
Yeah, these
The
people pretending to
Oklahoma
care.
Association of Broadcasters sued for its access. Now, earlier this month, the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled that act release in
That's right. We
North
didn't get the
Carolina.
video for like a year after it happened.
Yeah.
Then Mixon
Oh, she did.
lunges at
Oh,
her
yeah.
and
Oh.
punches her in the
I mean,
head. The
you know, he overreacted. but-
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She smacked her head on the table too.
With a misdemeanor.
Look at her. Yeah, she
Well,
thinks
she
no one's
shoved
gonna-
him first, too.
Yeah, she shoved and choked him.
Are these people outraged by the fact that she hit him first?
No, of course not.
No.
Don't be weird.
I mean, I don't understand. Am I the only person that ever pointed this out?
No, Troy points this out.
Fuck around and find out.
Fuck around and find out. Okay, you can do that, but there might be consequences to your action when you go hauling off and
No,
punching
I
someone.
just think
you know?
she deserves a little less sympathy than she's getting.
Yes, exactly.
Because she hit him first.
Yeah,
And probably less money.
yeah.
Oh, did she get a big pile of money?
I would imagine, yes.
Really? I would think in a
am.
court of law that the fact that she hit him first would be fairly mitigating, financially speaking.
You think so?
I would think so.
No
Yeah.
idea.
You don't want that going to a jury.
Probably not.
A jury's going to look at him as the
Yeah,
rich,
and I don't.
big
I don't
man.
remember. Was she injured badly? I mean,
That
I know
girl?
she was hurt, but I mean, did she have permanent injuries or something?
I don't think so. She might have been a tad concussed. But,
I think she's okay.
Yeah,
No, I think she's okay
she's
now.
fine.
Just saying.
And she's hot. She's going to be just fine. She'll be just fine.
What? By the way, what were they fighting about? What was that? That was a stranger, wasn't it?
I don't know. That was on campus, right? Where was he? Oklahoma? Was that where he was
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear, I feel like I don't think that was his girlfriend. I feel like it was
No.
something else.
No, I don't think so either. But I'm almost positive too that he
Yeah,
claimed that the
uh,
N-word was dropped.
They reached a settlement. Shocker.
Yeah, I
And
wonder
the
what he gave her.
14.
Wonder what that's worth. 100 grand?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
100 grand, yeah.
Doesn't give a number. Just says that they reached a settlement.
I wouldn't have made any kind of settlement without her acknowledging that she hit me first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that should be part of the settlement.
Yeah. She has to
She
publicly
acknowledges that
acknowledge.
she hit him first.
Yeah. She choked me and smacked me. You all saw it. It did look reactionary. You're 100% right. It looked like just a one of those things, like you have no control over it. Like you got hit and that's just what happened.
I'll give you another example of the same thing. There was somebody who was incarcerated or was about to be incarcerated. They were fighting like a banshee with like 5 cops, and somehow they had their hands free. Or no, actually, I don't know if they had their hands free or not, but actually, I think it was a she, and she did have her hands free, and they were just really having a hard time getting this person in cuffs, and she spit right in the face of this cop in front of her, and he just like, whack. It was like his arm just went and hit her right in the face, and I just remember going, she spit in his face.
Yeah.
He just reacted.
That's almost worse than being punched in the face. Honestly, if you're looking for a smack reaction, that might be your natural reaction if someone spits in your face.
But she wanted to sue him for hitting her.
Of course. Yeah. Always.
Spit in his fucking face.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if he won or lost, or if he lost his job, but
I'm sure
somebody spits right in your face, and she wasn't far away either, and he just reacted. It looked like, like somebody hit his knee with a hammer.
Yeah. No, cops are on this weird trajectory right now. I mean, I feel so bad for them. If they're not impeccable in some of the worst behavior you've seen out of humanity, the way humanity treats them with disrespect to their face,
it's so bad.
It's so bad. And I don't know who is asking for this too. Like that this is acceptable.
This is just George Floyd response. When people were told, remember the whole thing about how, during the George Floyd, being African American, of course, I had to have the talk with my children that police want to murder them.
Right.
And when they get pulled over, that police officer could very well murder them.
Yes.
Which is like, no, that is not going to happen.
Close.
If you resist arrest and you have a knife or something like that, well, yeah, he might try to murder you. Or, I mean, there's a one
or
in a
stop you, not even murder you.
I mean, there's a 1 in a million chance that something could go wrong, or you get that really bad cop like Chauvin, who, by the way, was arresting George Floyd. But I mean, he was a bad cop, and what he did was incredibly stupid. He's in prison for 22 years for it. But that cop is so rare. Now, watching cop cam videos, which I love watching, there are
funny.
So many cases where people think they get some sort of special treatment now because I can't be in a car with a white cop. I'm too scared. It's but I arrested you for drunk driving. What am I supposed to do with you? But it happens all the time now, and they throw out, you're so racist, and I'm triggered by your racist, or I have mental health problems, or this one girl said, I'm indigenous and I'm non-binary.
Oh, I saw that one, the indigenous,
and I have generational trauma.
Yeah,
and she was drunk off her ass, and she was on the wrong side of the road.
Have you seen some of these where they want to put cops in schools? And it's like, well, the argument against it is children could be triggered by seeing the uniform and a gun on their waist. I'm like, they're not shooting you in the hallway.
They used to be heroes. They used to look up to them.
I know. No,
and that was
like really
so
firemen
insane.
and
This
stuff.
is our concern. They're there to protect you, you fucking idiots.
No, can you imagine if the world was watching surgeons like they watch cops?
Right.
They're going, I don't think you should have that scalpel. That's bullshit. I mean, can you imagine how fucked up that would be? Or any major profession. It's terrible. And it's such a hard job, too, because people want to fight with you all the time. And they really, never during all the George Floyd thing, wouldn't you think it would have been great if everyone said, okay, everybody, the best thing to do is comply with the police.
Yeah.
Do what they say
Yes.
and sort it out later. And nobody would say that.
Sort it out later. You're the first person that I've heard say that, but us.
Exactly.
That's my thing. Is like when they make this decision, it's over.
Yeah,
we're going.
You're
to
not
jail,
going to get away,
or someone's dying at the scene. Yeah. Like we could figure this out. Maybe you're 100%
You're never
right.
going to win this.
You're not winning this. There's going to be backup called. This is a problem. Let's sort this out with lawyers later. But for right now, the message needs to be, fuck.
But
it's over.
But no one could bear to say it because some of the people that lost their lives did resist arrest. But it's like, yeah, that's why we should be talking about this.
Exactly.
Instead of telling children that you could be murdered by a police officer, it's pretty common.
Yeah,
they had to have the
do
talk.
that. Yeah.
And every time they have the talk, the news anchor or whatever say, That's a great idea. Of course you had to have the talk. You know, I'm a white anchor, and I would know how dangerous it is to be you.
It's so pathetic. It's just
ridiculous.
it's so sad, and it's so dangerous.
It's
that
just like
narrative. It's just
It reminds me of the
just awful.
COVID get vaccinated narrative.
Yeah.
There was not one anchor who would say, by the way, a lot of people really aren't so sure about this vaccination thing.
Not
I just
one.
want to give a nod out to all. Nobody could do that. You would lose your job.
Independent media who weren't paid by Big Pharma. It was shows like yours, shows like this, shows like other YouTube shows.
But there's not a single television anchor.
No, not
Everyone's
one.
like, get vaccinated. Everybody get vaccinated. The virus ends with you.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't end with you, they go, hey, by the way, sorry about telling you that the virus ended with you all the millions of times we did. No, but there was never any reckoning whatsoever.
None.
It was just that, you know what? You won't go to the hospital. You'll get COVID, but you won't go to the hospital. And I was like,
Yeah,
go
but
to the
you
hospital,
will.
but you probably won't die. You know how many people have gotten the latest booster?
Probably less than 10%.
14%.
Yeah.
They claim.
Yeah.
I bet it isn't 14%.
They asked me at my doctor's office if I wanted the vaccine. I literally laughed in her face. She was like, what? I was like, are you fucking joking right now? Really? First off, I probably know more about this than you.
Did she suggest that everyone is getting the booster?
No, she didn't. But she was like, oh, would you like it? And I was like, are you out of your mind? If I could do one thing in reverse in my entire life, it would be not getting that fucking vaccine.
Well, you know,
I would not get that
Election's
vaccine.
coming.
I'm not going to say that the vaccine hurt me in any way because it didn't. And
Yeah.
I got COVID, and maybe I was better because I don't know.
Yeah.
But as far as there's now 4 or 5 boosters, and nobody is, and so that seems like that might not have worked out very well.
Yeah,
if nobody's getting the new boosters.
I was more inclined to listen to Dr. Malone, one of the inventors of mRNA technology, who said, listen, when you're dealing with something like this, and there was a specific term for that type of vaccine, the mRNA one, and he said, if you start getting multiple boosters, it will have the reverse effect, that you'll start to do damage when you start getting into the 4 and 5 boosters. And it's like, there are still people lining up around the block that will do that. Part of that 14%.
Your immune system will be worse off.
Worse off.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I'm more inclined to believe him than anything that's coming out of the federal government right now.
But anybody who said anything like that would be taken down off Facebook or Twitter or whatever. I mean, it was like,
God forbid
wow,
you say ivermectin.
Oh, ivermectin was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I remember seeing Jimmy Kimmel doing jokes about ivermectin. Joe Rogan had COVID and he took horse tranquilizer. It's like, no, it's not just horse tranquilizer.
Yeah.
Didn't it win a
Nobel Prize?
Yeah, Nobel Prize.
Nobel
in
Prize.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
There's just no money in it because it's all
one, and the worst part too is the argument that I would get into with people is like, okay, it's been given out billions of times around the world. It has a death rate of like 0.000001. Like,
But Trump liked it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what happened to him.
Exactly. So even if it doesn't do anything, let's just say it's a horse medication. What an idiot. Fine. It's about as harmful as a Flintstones vitamin. So what do you give a shit if I take it then? If I'm taking
Because Trump liked it.
Because Trump liked it.
Well, and
hydroxychloroquine
and the
only
emergency
same thing.
use.
Trump liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and emergency use.
That's
exactly.
a big part of it.
Emergency use was a big
the only
part
way
of
they
that.
could get that emergency use was so that there couldn't be anything else effective on the market.
Yeah.
No, there was a doctor at, it might have been Henry Ford Hospital, who said he wanted to do a study on ivermectin, and it was too controversial.
Yeah.
And he was stopped from doing the study, or he couldn't get funding or whatever. It was like,
Such a red
wait
flag.
a second. There's a lot of people who are using who say it worked and it
Yeah.
helped them. Why can't we do a study on it? It was like, no, that's too big a political,
Yeah.
football to carry around.
When that's the reaction, when it's
That's a
far
problem.
the other way, no matter what that is,
Yeah.
it's such a red flag.
No,
It's such a
True.
I mean,
We
know what they're
stupid.
We found a story out of India, and one of their biggest
Uttar
Pradesh in India, which is bigger than America, okay, as far as population goes, and it's a, what do they call it? It's not a state, but it's in India.
province or something, whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever it is. But you couldn't find the story if you went on Google. You absolutely couldn't find it. It was gone.
Which story?
This story in Uttar Pradesh, what they were using for COVID, because they didn't have the vaccine.
Oh.
And so they were using ivermectin and vitamins, something or other. and their death rate was almost nothing. They knocked COVID out completely in Uttar Pradesh. And if you try to find that story, you won't find it. You can't find it. I found it on the dark web, essentially.
What? No one would reprint the story over here?
No
Wow.
one.
Yeah, and the statistics were unbelievable.
The statistics would blow your fucking mind about how successful they were.
It sounds like Sweden because, honestly,
Yeah.
people shit on Sweden. Some of
Yeah.
our biggest, our most
Yeah.
prestigious newspapers and writers were writing these horrible stories about, oh, my God, look at Sweden compared to their neighbors. They're doing terrible. They're out of their minds. And then, what do you know?
What do you know?
Immunity catches on.
Yeah.
Some people get it. It has a natural effect. And eventually, they do better than almost everyone else.
They didn't destroy their economy either. In
No.
the process. And they didn't set their kids back.
And you know what? There were people who were trying to say, too, that, and you know what? Their economy sucks anyway. It's not helping their economy at all.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
but the point is that younger people are living their lives,
Yeah.
and kids are going to school, and life is fairly normal while this is going on. Instead of, I mean, the destructive effects of COVID over here with kids getting so completely fucked out of a year of school.
Yeah.
That has a huge impact.
Huge impact.
Not
Still
to
paying the
mention
price.
if you're 7 or 8 years old and 1/7 of your life was spent inside.
Yeah, yeah.
How confusing is
Or
that? I mean,
the speech issues they're having from wearing a mask and not being able to
Oh.
at that early learning stage with their eyeballs reading lips and learning how to communicate.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's all kinds of things that have happened that have been horrible. And
No, it had-
California was the worst. I was there for it. It was a nightmare.
I know Chicago. I think San Francisco didn't have. You couldn't go to school for over a year.
Over a year. Yeah.
God,
Arizona wasn't much better.
San
Well,
Francisco
Arizona was better, but
San Francisco sounded. I mean, their government sounded so messed up.
Yeah.
Everything I was reading was like, what? They were changing names of schools.
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah, that's what they were worried
You couldn't
about.
have Abraham Lincoln's name on a school.
Nope.
I forgot why. What did Abe Lincoln do? Was he mean to Native Americans or something?
Something. I can't remember. But yeah, that was one of them. And
Dianne Feinstein even.
Yeah,
they took
Obama.
her name off.
They took
something.
Obama's name off something.
What did
It's like
Obama
Obama's
do?
I don't know. I mean, Obama sucks, but
What have you done for me lately?
yeah.
Hey, do you ever take a break in the show?
Yeah, you wanna take a
I just
break?
want to take a quick break.
Yeah. Let's
I mean, I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Sure.
then I'll mute these mics and we'll come back. I'll edit this together. So I want to ask you about your early career anyways. So
Okay,
we'll do that
cool.
next. All right. Just like that, we're back. That was easy.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The magic of podcasting. Gotta love it. Yeah. Quick piss break, warm up the coffee. And Drew, I almost forgot. I'm glad Hat said something upstairs. What do you get the guy that can get himself whatever he wants? Well, you were such a fan of my mom's.
Oh, I love this stuff.
Yeah. So that's
crack.
for you.
Oh, it is so addictive.
So good.
Yeah.
You go through it so fast.
I know. Well, don't forget it, and
I
that's
won't.
That's your batch there.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, of course, of course. My mom said to say hello and whatnot. Coming back, I wanted
her
to.
hey.
Yeah, I will. I wanted to get into some of your career stuff, and one of the things that I found really hard about doing this type of work, there's a lot more that goes into a radio show, a talk show. If you're doing it traditionally, like a morning show, like we did with the Drew and Mike show. Writing scripts, writing bits is not easy.
No, it takes a lot of. You have to really sit down and just do it.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the inspiration, you just have to sit down and just do it. I mean, it takes a knack too. I think you got to have a knack for it. But
it's hard to stay on course. I've found. Like, you almost need like an outline of a movie, like Cliff Notes Theater.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to do that. I mean, you really have to. You really have to focus and.
Do you pause the movie the whole time?
Not that much, because you're really looking for the that outline.
Yeah.
So if you start taking notes of everything, you just get
That's
confused.
what's hard.
Too much, but
That's
it is
very hard to do.
because you
To
don't
not-
always know the first time you're watching it that it's something that's worthy of something like that.
Yeah.
So usually it's the second time I watch and I just start taking some notes, and then punchlines sort of come to you. Just I don't know, movies are easy to make fun of, I think.
Well, certain movies, like you can't do it with comedies.
No.
Comedies don't work at all.
No, unless they're really bad, maybe.
Yeah. So what is like the perfect movie for you to go? That's a Cliff Notes Theater. Is it a movie that takes itself too seriously?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like now, super woke movies would be just a blast to do a Cliff Notes for, I think. But yeah, like Titanic was a really obvious one, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of fat jokes in that one.
Yeah, I know that really went off. That kind of went askew.
Yeah,
but
like everything. I listened to that not long ago, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of references to how huge she is. Like
she wasn't that fat.
She wasn't at all. It's so funny. It's like, the drip of water and then the giant splash when she hits the water.
No, I know that's funny, but yeah, I think if you look back at all those movies, they're just too serious. They take themselves too seriously, and so that generally works. Like something like, I mean, Schindler's List would be, if you could, anything that's that intense, you can really take the air out of it very easily.
So it's something that you want to parody, but you almost have to pick holes in it to make big parody parts of, right?
Yeah, and I think the holes are generally they're quite easy to find. It's just a matter of trying to find a good line or a good character or a good way of it was fun to have the wrong person play a certain character too. That always works.
It's so funny. They were always one of my favorite days when it was like Drew would come in with a new script and it was like, oh, after the show.
Those were a lot of fun.
They were so fun, and being in that room, I wish people could have been in there with us when we recorded them, because when you do your Chicago guy voice, which is how you doing?
How you doing? Happy New Year.
There's that guy, and then there's the Chicago brother. I think, how you doing? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's not even allowed to exist anymore.
Right. You'd have to
canceled.
something else. He would be. He would get the Apu treatment.
I don't understand that either, because when Dave Chappelle does his white guy voice, I think it's hilarious.
It's funny.
No, I laugh.
Funny. Eddie Murphy too. It's great.
But the idea that you would identify anyone by the way they sound is so utterly offensive.
Right.
What the?
Seriously.
But yeah, that's when you have a big group of people, that's what's so hard now about morning shows is you see so many that are understaffed.
Yeah.
And do you know who Rude Jude is?
Yeah, we've had him in studio.
Oh, okay.
He's been over here. He
lives here now, doesn't he?
I text with him occasionally. He's great.
He was doing that show on Eminem's channel on XM.
Yep.
For a long, long time, and
he got mad at me for asking a question about Eminem once, but I digress.
Why was he mad?
He got really fucking
Was
mad.
it too personal?
Yeah, I was like, what happens if you're on his channel and an album drops and you don't like it? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, I would always like it. I was like, I know, but what if you didn't? What if you just didn't for whatever reason? And
That's a good question.
I wasn't trying to start shit with him, but I'm like, you're on the shady network.
Yeah.
Like, can you be honest with your opinions? And he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say to that. And off the air, we like argued the whole way to the car.
Really?
And I was like, dude, I swear to God, I wasn't trying to fuck with you. I was just curious. I'm a huge Eminem fan too, and blah, blah. He's like, well, I just didn't know how I was supposed to answer that. Like, I mean, of course, he's my boss. He's my, blah. And I was like, all right.
Well, then that's your answer.
Well, I saw where his show blew up, or he quit, or he got fired, or whatever.
Oh, okay, I didn't know
Do you
that.
know that? Yeah,
No.
I think it just happened.
Okay.
And so there was a story in the Free Press about it, and he was describing how he moved back to Michigan, and so
Yeah.
he was separated from the rest of the show, and the show had shrunk. And so then he has like an hour-long thing on YouTube where he's describing, how it all fell apart. And basically, they kept taking people away from him.
Yeah.
Until, there was just a skeleton of the show, and he couldn't. It was virtually impossible to do the same show. And I think that's, what was going on in the 90s and the aughts was, there were big morning shows with big staffs, and the shows were better.
Yeah,
they were.
of course.
Because you have more people, and I think a lot of it is when somebody starts letting down, somebody else picks up the slack, or it's just, when you have more good minds, you have more funny lines, more funny ideas.
Yeah.
And now I notice a lot of these shows they're down to 3 people, or 4 people, or 2 people, and that's pretty tough.
It makes it really hard. We did have kind of a good system of like everybody knowing their role, and because the other thing about Cliff Notes theater in particular that I think about is it's not a visual thing. It's only audio. So you have to be able to tell that story literally just with words, a little bit of music, sound effects perhaps.
Yeah.
But you don't have the benefit of being able to film something,
Making a skit.
No,
yeah, exactly.
That's one of the things I really like about radio is I always hated the video aspect, and that's why we were not on YouTube for so long, is because I hate cameras. I thought that was the beauty of radio, was being, behind the scenes and God knows where, and nobody has to worry about a picture because you'll describe it for them. And if you can't do that, you're not good at radio. Look at all the great radio play-by-play guys and color guys over the years. Ernie Harwell, and in many, many sports. And a lot of them don't like doing TV. They were forced to eventually, but they could. I always felt I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I never felt like, oh my God, I wish I had a picture. Jesus.
Yeah.
Come on, Ernie.
Yeah. And those guys that were true pros at doing that, like an Ernie Harwell, could let the moment breathe.
Yeah.
His silence was as powerful as talking. The Dodgers, was it Vin
Scully, yeah.
Scully, yeah.
Like and Jack Buck. Like there's some legendary voices that really knew that space. And now it seems like anybody that was a multi-time All-Pro can be thrown in the booth, and it doesn't even matter if they make sense, can speak the English language.
No.
And it's like, this is embarrassing. They don't have that kind of art
craft
that's involved. Yeah.
Who was the, oh God, he's in trouble now. His brother murdered somebody.
Akib Talib?
Akib Talib.
That's our goat. Yeah.
Dude, he's the GOAT of dog shit broadcasting.
He was driving a lot of people crazy.
So bad.
Because his grammar was horrible. And he was in college for 5 years. It was like, what? How did this guy get through 5 years of college? No, a lot of people liked his color.
Yeah.
They thought he was really good at what he did. And I understand that. But it's strange.
But he wasn't. I'm sorry. I read those tweets too. They all loved him, but
I never felt that way. I didn't have any really strong feelings about it. I just noticed that this guy does not speak basic English. And I thought, okay, we reached the point where it's no longer necessary to speak basic English to be a broadcaster because this guy does not do it.
No.
And he's on doing the biggest, what's
doing
bigger than the
NFL
NFL?
games.
Yeah, there's nothing bigger.
And it hit personal around here because he was covering so many Lions games.
He was doing a lot.
It was the worst team at the time.
Right.
And so it was like put the shittiest crew on it. But it was...
Felt like we were getting punked.
It almost felt like we were being punked.
You know what I did not know is that he had been in trouble numerous times for shooting at people and for, he fired his gun in a strip club, and then he actually got hit by, I think, his own gun, and he went across the street and called the police, said, yeah, I'm in this park, I've been shot. And it happened in the strip club, and he said, I was so drunk, I didn't, it's crazy. And then he still gets that job. In fact, he was suspended from the Broncos, I think, a couple times for for getting in a fight with a teammate once, and then he just had a really checkered past, and then Fox gives him that job, and he really could not. I mean, such a bare minimum would have been acceptable, and he couldn't even make that happen. So then his brother murders the other coach when 9-year-olds are
like
playing
a little football game.
That's right. That's
and
right.
Aqib Talib was in a fight with the coach. They were physically fighting when the brother shot him.
Oh my God! Like, it's got to be something in the way you're raised. I don't know what else it could be.
That was so fucked up. And you know what was weird? Like 2 days after, I remember going, is Aqib Talib going to be fired?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to me he'd be fired. And like 2 days after that, he said, I'm stepping aside to take care of it. I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm stepping aside due to some family matters.
Yeah, I'm fighting with a coach of a fucking peewee football league, but I did nothing wrong.
But why would Fox not just blow him out right away?
Immediately.
I don't know. I mean, I can speculate. It's not going to sound good on a microphone if I
No,
do.
I was going to say,
you know.
I thought, well, that's interesting that even that would have a shield, fighting with a 9-year-old football coach.
Yeah,
and that's not enough to...
It's crazy.
I know, it is
It's crazy. But, that's where we're going with broadcasting. You see it a lot. I remember a guy, I want to say he was... Because I watch a lot of the 49er coverage. I want to say it was a 49er guy, but I could be wrong about that. And he was like... Yeah, I got into this, man. I'm just loving it. I had no idea. I thought you had to dress a certain way. You had to speak the English language perfect. And it turns out you ain't got to do any of that stuff.
Do shit.
You ain't got to do shit. And I was like, no, bro, you're supposed to do that shit. You know who I think's made a remarkable recovery, though, is Lomas Brown. Like,
for the Lions?
You could not understand Lomas for 20 years.
Yeah, he's better.
He put the work in.
He's done something, you know? I mean, he looks good. He... sounds better, you know.
I wasn't sure. Did they fire Jim Brandstatter, or did they just go, we've got to have a more diverse booth?
I don't know. Brandstatter's a legend, though.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure why that change was made, because Jim was still doing Michigan games when he stopped doing Lions games, and I thought, well, that's weird. Did
Lomas take over for?
Yeah, I think
Jim?
so. I believe that was.
And is Lomas working with Dan?
Yeah.
Dan's fucking awesome.
No, Dan's great.
He's
the highlights
great.
have been great this year. This has been a great year for football. Oh my God.
I was going to ask you, how fun is this?
God, I really, really like this team. I'm not from Detroit, so I always, took great interest in the Lions and became a fan. Not like I was a Bears fan, but honestly, this is my favorite team. And that was before the season started. I already loved this team.
Lions team, you
yeah,
mean?
because I loved the way they came around last year.
Yeah.
I really liked a lot of the players. I loved the coach.
Yeah.
And I was really rooting for them, like you would a team you grew up with. And I just really liked them. And this week, the Packer game was interesting because, they had so many chances. Ugh. And they outgained them 460 to 377 and still lost the game. And
the turnovers, and it reminds me, like, there's scar tissue built up as Lions fans over the years, where it's like, we have seen them before, and Troy and I have talked about this a lot, where you see a quarterback, he's a rookie, he's making his first start, he's nobody, you don't even know who he is, and then all of a sudden he puts up a Hall of Fame numbers against the Lions. Where did this come from? And it's like, that's what I saw. Jordan Love can suck all year, and then he plays the Lions on Thanksgiving and looks like Tom Brady, and
well, I think that was...
And the scar tissue was like, oh, God, not this again. Please say we're not a fraud. Please say we're not the 2022 Vikings. Please.
They're going to win 12 or 13 games.
They should, but I would have thought
doubt.
the Bears and the Packers were gimmies. Absolute gimmies.
But it's the NFL.
I know.
Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. I just would never have thought they would lay an egg like that on Thanksgiving.
No.
The defense right off the bat, 2 touchdowns just like nothing, and then the 2 Goff fumbles, and...
Who do they have? New Orleans this week?
Yeah, New Orleans this week.
In New Orleans. And they should win that. I mean, the only game
they're
that should
4-point favorites, I think, 4.5.
Yeah, the only questionable game outside of the Chargers, a couple weeks ago, was Dallas. I mean, outside of that, they should, and maybe Minnesota. Maybe Minnesota wins one of those two.
I don't know.
Did you see Minnesota Monday night?
Oh,
I
that's so
did.
bad.
Oh my God, they were horrible.
Did Dobbs come back down to earth or what?
Yeah. By the way, Hawkinson has like 80 catches this year.
He looks great.
Jesus.
He looks great.
He had
I'm
a touchdown.
pissy. I feel like he had some shitty comments about Detroit when he left here. And it's always bugged me and I don't know why. It might have
I
been
think
one
he
sentence.
was. I think he was very excited to go to a contender.
Yeah.
I think that was what he said. I
get
don't
that.
know that he ripped the Lions.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting trade because I just felt like, wow, why wouldn't they just sign him? If he's worth it to Minnesota, why isn't he worth so much more money? And they feel like they can get somebody else that will be just as good for. And I was like, who are they going to get? And what do you know, Sam Laporta? They pick him in the second round, and he's doing
Looks
great. 53
unbelievable.
catches.
Unbelievable.
However, I was looking at their stats yesterday, and I'm like, God, Laporte's got 53 catches. That's amazing. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, 95 catches already.
Already?
I think it's 90 or 95. And then I'm looking at the wideouts have 53 catches combined.
Beyond that, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how are we putting up these numbers with wideouts that don't really
That
get
aren't
that
there.
open?
Yeah. Well, you're
'Cause
talking
they just
about
don't.
Reynolds, and you're talking about Williams.
Khalif Raymond.
Khalif Raymond.
And J-Mo.
And J-Mo. J-Mo.
Oh, if you throw in J-Mo, they have another 12 catches.
Right, but
You didn't want to add that one?
It's 12 catches, but probably 3 big touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
drops.
Okay.
By a first-round draft pick, though. I mean,
I know, but I heard Goff talking about it, saying, this is going to get better and better. That the communication, and the what do they call it? The between the quarterback and receiver,
the synergy, the chemistry. Yeah,
all
it
that
should.
chemistry is coming. We see it in practice. It just takes some time, but then we've seen guys that just take the top off and just go. As rookies.
But this guy is. I mean, he's more than halfway through his second season. And last week, I was listening to the post game, and he said, "And a special shout out to Jameson Williams, had 2 catches for 51 yards." I'm like, 2 catches for 51 yards? Special shout out? What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The bar is that low now for J-Mo?
It is.
Are you guys still doing a show after post Lions
Yes,
game?
yes.
So what are you calling the show right now?
The Lions overreaction show.
What are you calling your show? Is it still the Drew and Mike show, or is it?
We don't really call it anything
Yeah.
because
I know it's a
little complicated.
shitty area. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it, but I want to plug it to.
Yeah,
everybody.
no, you can
Everybody
call it the Drew
knows.
and Mike show. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
We're just not. We're not selling any merch. You're selling merch, aren't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you sell much Christmas merch?
You know what? I used to. I haven't done anything this year. To be honest, I probably should have. But I used to have a shirt, with our logo or whatever on the back. It'd have a Christmas tree, and then inside the Christmas tree were all different phrases related to the show.
Oh,
And
cool.
they were really popular. They were cool. It was a lot of fun. I did that for a couple of years, but then I was like, who's going to wear this outside of like Christmas week? And so I wanted to do one a little more generic for
Right.
the holidays, because who's going to wear?
So
a
you
Christmas
do
tree?
have generic stuff to sell.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doesn't sell as well as I wished it would, like it once did. But
I know. I always
Long
thought.
as-
I know the first year we sold a ton of stuff, and I thought, I
Yeah.
can't believe that much stuff can sell. And then, it does
see
taper
people wearing
down.
your
'cause,
shit
yeah,
and your
people
stickers.
they don't need a new shirt every year, though.
No,
Most people don't.
Rabid people, though, man. We had listeners that were buying like 14 shirts.
Yeah,
they lay
that's
them all
true.
out on their bed, and there's a guy that comes over here, and he's really supportive. But every single time he comes over here, he's wearing a Drew and Mike podcast shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
Every single time, and but then he's got stickers of both shows on his truck, and his name's Ed. He's an awesome guy.
It's amazing how loyal people are. I mean, after
Yeah.
all this time, it's incredible.
And they know that doing it this way, we don't have, some big company working that's paying us and providing insurance. Like anything we get is based on them, like them helping out and them, you know what I mean? Like that's the only way something like this
I know.
survives. And very few of them last at all.
I wish, honestly, I kind of wish I had started out doing Patreon.
Yeah.
Because although the system that we're using works and it's worked well, I just feel like being so stuck in the radio mindset.
Yeah.
I just, the idea of charging people for shows was like, what? No, nobody can
Yeah.
do that. That can't possibly work. There can't be any future to that.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of shows that live off their Patreon.
That's it.
And that's just, people are willing to do that. And they don't have any complaints about it. And so,
Well,
it would have been nice to do that.
You can do stuff. Well, you can do it right now, Drew, and you can do stuff like, because we have a Patreon and there's different tiers. This one
Right.
which is the thank you when we go on the air. We'll thank new members and whatnot, and then this pay thing gets you, and you know, if
Did
you
they get an extra show every month or something?
You
or
know
two
what?
shows?
We do some of that stuff, yes. But you could literally do 4 shows a week, 3 shows a week that are just normal. Everybody can get them, and then like this show is just a Patreon show,
Right?
And do a full episode. We've done that before. And maybe that's the formula. Like if you
I
really
think
like
that is
this show,
for
you
a
know,
show like this. I think that is the formula. If you're doing that many, if you have that much content,
right,
you just convert some of it to Patreon,
exactly,
and hope that people that do actually listen to all the shows, that they will go, oh, I got to have that $5 a month. I mean, it's not that much money. I just was blown away that wait, people actually pay for a podcast, really? And they do. I mean, Carl, my friend from Who These Podcasts, he's got like 2,000 Patreons.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
crazy.
Really good.
That's real money too.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
And then you see shows with like 10,000 Patreons. Like, oh my God, somebody. I'm trying to think of who it was. One of the big stand-ups has like, I want to say like 50,000 Patreons. And I listened to his show and it was like, this guy barely puts anything into this show.
Yeah, isn't that hilarious?
These platforms just get so popular when these people are new and they blow up, and people are like, "Oh my God, I want anything."
Yeah.
But I mean, it's $5 a month, so it's not much.
Yeah,
Might have been
5, 10.
maybe Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon,
yeah,
it's
maybe
great.
it's Tim Dillon I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and he gets promoted from Rogan. I mean, he's part of Team Rogan, so that's not
Do you
a
listen
bad
to
one.
many of the podcasts, the comedian stand-up? Podcasts?
I listen to clips of some of them. I if I'm going to listen to a full episode, Rogan, I will do if he's got Elon on or something like that. I'll check that out. And some of those, not a ton, but that's the only. I haven't listened to the radio since we left radio. Like literally, haven't turned it on, and I didn't listen to it that much when we were on it. It was just I found a lot more out of podcasting. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do listen to radio occasionally, like 97.1 when there's something going on in sports. Maybe. Yeah, if the Lions got hot on a run or something, I'd probably do that too.
But I found this YouTube channel called Comedy Enforcement, and this guy, he critiques a lot of the comedy podcasts and sort of gossip that's going on. And he was watching it on, I think it was Sunday night, and he was talking about Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura.
Yeah, two bears,
one cave.
Yeah,
he was talking about just how phoned in that podcast has become, and that they bank like 4 at a time.
Oh,
like one will fly to the other one, and they'll do like 4 shows in 6 hours, and then it's like, and this week we're,
yeah,
and it's like, no, you recorded all those at one time, and then one of them isn't there half the time, and so anyway, he was saying that this show is totally phoned in now, and on and on, but. That's Comedy Enforcement is a pretty cool YouTube page I found for
Comedy Enforcement.
Yeah, for finding out. I mean, the host he doesn't do anything fancy. He's not like seeking outrage or anything like that. He just kind of is the facts, but he's very good.
Yeah.
So it was
That's
kind
cool.
of
there's so much out there, and it's part of the thing that kind of drives me nuts too. And maybe it's just jealousy on my part because
there's just so much goddamn content.
There's so much fucking content.
I know, it's insane.
And you know what? I think the jealous part on my end comes from like, there was a day when you had to fucking work your ass off to even get a foot in the door, man. Like now any asshole with a microphone can do it. And it's like you have, I know one of the best things you ever said to me, and it's not the best, but one of the things we were having lunch one day and you said, I hate the word podcast.
I do.
And I fucking knew exactly what you meant by that. And I do too. There's something, I mean, I think I know what you meant by that, but it just kind of, I don't know. I hate it too. There's something irritating about it. And maybe it's just that it's so simple. Like Troy's an electrician. He's great at that. But every fucking asshole with a screwdriver can't just claim to be an electrician.
I know. No, it doesn't sound very cool.
Support.
It's
you know
not
what I mean?
exclusive at all.
No, there's nothing exclusive about it. Like you have a podcast. I'm almost embarrassed to say it now.
Yeah, I know. I think most people, when you say podcast, I think it's something you do in your spare time.
Right,
like,
right.
Oh, you're doing. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. You can't get a real job.
Sitting in front of your laptop.
Doing a podcast. Cute.
The guys that bother me are like a lot of guys that do stand-up who are really good, and they go around the country or whatever, and then they do a podcast, and all of a sudden, boom, they've got 200,000 people. It's like, oh my God, he's just phoning it in. It's just like him and a comedian buddy riffing for an hour. There's no preparation. They don't give a fuck.
And if you've done it, for like your career, you see all the obvious mistakes and all the shit they're doing wrong, and you're like, oh.
But it doesn't matter because they've built this platform, and then they just, hey, I'm doing a podcast, and they don't have to have any knowledge of what they're doing or any preparation. And then somebody was telling me about Bobby Lee's podcast, and
Bobby's funny, man.
He's got a huge platform, and he's done it really well for a long time. Tiger Belly, and then anyway, they mentioned this other podcast. I'm like, what's that? And they're like, oh, that's Bobby Lee's girlfriend. I'm like, wait, Bobby Lee's girlfriend is a podcast? And I look it up. I'm like, oh yeah, 300,000 views.
Jeez. That's insulting on such a level I can't even describe.
So anyway, I asked him, like, wait, why is this? Well, she got together with 2 female comedians, so it's kind of a chick thing. And I'm like, okay.
Whatever. That's gotta.
It's a little deflating when you see how easy it is for some people to just like.
It's got to be doubly deflating for someone like you. And I don't mean to blow you up or anything like that, but there were other shows I've worked on, with other people over the years, especially early, and people in radio when I worked on morning shows, they wanted, like 10 o'clock hit, they wanted the fuck out of that building. They wanted to go home. They wanted to go watch TV. They wanted to go to the bar, whatever. The Drew and Mike show was very different from any other show I've ever seen, where that show, for the most part, worked till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, or hung around and did work and played and worked and played. But yeah, stuff was getting done.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff was getting done.
Like the idea that it was like, from 6 to 10, and then you go home and you got your whole day.
Right.
Bullshit. And what I learned from you over the years, Drew, was like, I don't care if it was your apartment, one of your homes, that you were living at the time, whatever. Like you'd go there, and it was like a museum, like a newspaper or magazine museum. You know what I mean? Like stacks of shit. Like this show doesn't end for this guy. This is a 24-hour-a-day job.
No, you should have your antenna up all the time.
All
for
the
stuff.
time.
And I do hear people that do that, and some of these comedians too. They obviously are going, hey, that's good for the show.
Yeah.
Write it down. There are people that do that really well. But yeah, it should be something where there's always something can be coming up. What was I listening to today? Kurt Minahan was talking about. Do you know who Kurt Minahan is?
No.
He was a Boston sports radio guy who really did much more than sports radio. And so I think when he left sports radio to do a podcast for Barstool, he does a Barstool show.
All right.
It's really less of a sports show and more of a everything show.
Okay.
Now, but he was talking about what the hell was? How his gas tank would not register more than a half a tank, no matter how much gas you put in, and just how annoying that was. But, it was just a great, stupid story that, he brought to the show that I'm sure when that happened, he thought, oh my God, there's gobs of material in how stupid this problem is, because he wanted to go back to the gas station. He didn't put any gas in my fucking car.
Yeah.
But then he put more gas in his car and determined that,
realized
it won't go over a half a tank. It's just a funny story.
Yeah.
So,
but that's an example of like every aspect or minute of your day can potentially be
material. Absolutely.
Material. Yeah.
So, but when you have to fill 4 hours, people doing this now, they don't have to fill 4 hours. They do an hour a week,
right,
or 2 hours a week. Or, there's some shows that do, will do 3 shows a week or 4 shows a week. And Brogan does 3 shows a week, doesn't he?
Something like that. Or, yeah.
I think he does.
He doesn't have like a set schedule. Like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, expect a new show. It just drops. And sometimes I'll see like, 3 episodes dropped.
And they're long shows.
They're over 3 hours a lot.
And I don't know how much preparation he puts into it, but
I get the impression quite a bit.
That I think he does
got
too.
A book, he's going to read the book, which I always admired about you too, and trained me well, because if I'm going to interview someone that's got a book out, I read it front to back.
Isn't it amazing how many people don't read the book?
It's shocking, that to the point that they send you a list of questions.
Okay.
It's crazy to me.
Tom Segura, the comedy enforcement guy, was ripping the downfall of Tom Segura. Who, by the way, Tom Segura does fine. I'm sure he'll live through this. But he's been getting accused of being kind of a snob, Like they ran a clip of him going, "Hey, what kind of watch is that?" You know, and he's looking at this guy's watch, and I guess he's a big watch collector.
Okay.
So I guess he spends a little more time talking about his expensive watches than people wished he would. And then he complained about some checked luggage incident, and people were like, "Oh, you snob, get off, you know, take it easy,
private
Tom."
jet shit.
He was tweeting about it, and you know. Anyway, he was interviewing Quentin Tarantino. And he didn't watch the movie.
Wait, was this the latest Quentin Tarantino that came out? The whatever Hollywood movie that Pitt's in?
Does Quentin Tarantino have a book right now? Maybe an audio book?
Might have seen him on kind of a press tour or something.
Whatever it was, Quentin Tarantino was literally calling him out going, "You listen to the first," I think it was the first chapter. I think he said the first chapter. So you barely listened to the first chapter. And he's like, "Well, I was really busy and
inexcusable."
He's like, "You listened to it on your way over here this morning." I mean, Tarantino was all over. It was funny.
Good.
But I thought, wow,
That's
Quentin
crazy
Tarantino.
to
And I
me.
sat there and thought, I would spend hours. I'd be so excited to have Quentin Tarantino.
Do you remember the days, Drew, of you'd go to Blockbuster even and rent all the fucking movies this guy's done?
No, I could not wait to get started on Quentin Tarantino because there's so much great stuff to watch. And I was like, I can't believe this guy got an interview with Quentin Tarantino and he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's insulting.
And Quentin Tarantino was insulted too.
Yeah, I bet he was.
He should be.
He's probably never had that happen before where it's like, I'm going to give my time to you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, you clown? I'm one of the most famous movie directors and writers of all time.
I expect most people that interview him are quite excited about it and probably are big fans.
Unless he's doing those 3-minute hits on Entertainment Tonight or some bullshit or whatever. But if he's doing a real interview.
I saw another one like that. And was this Comedy Enforcement that was doing this story? It might have been. It's a good website, by the way. If you're into all these podcasts out there, it's a good website. But who's the comedian who shaves the side of his head?
Theo Von?
Theo Von. Yeah.
No, not Theo Von. Andrew
Schultz.
Andrew Schultz.
Oh yeah, Schultz. Yep.
Yeah. He was doing a podcast with a show that was kind of a new show, but I think it was on a big platform. And about 45 minutes of the podcast, he busted one of the guys on the phone. The guy was texting while they're interviewing. Now, Andrew Schultz is a big, he's a huge comic. And so he just called this guy out, like, what are you texting while you're interviewing me? And he
calls podcasters out quite a bit, actually.
Oh, does he?
I've seen him do that to people. Really make it uncomfortable.
This guy
really
was texting his girlfriend.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was.
Dude, when people come, we've had people here and they, come clodding down the stairs and just bust open the curtain and start talking. And I'm like, the thought that you would fucking do that at the Drew and Mike show. Can you imagine? Outside of Matt Riley, maybe. Can you imagine someone just kicking the door in and announcing? No, it's almost a joke to some people. It's like,
I know.
Hello, we're kind of in the middle of something here. I don't.
Well, in your house, the studio's kind of set off from the house.
It is.
I would not think that would happen.
No, not very much. Darren McCarty was famous for it. Darren could do that a lot. And it was like, you're not even on a microphone. You're just yelling something.
Have you been over to Woodward Sports?
I was once a long time ago, and but it's a pretty cool setup they had.
Yeah.
If I remember, they had.
It's gotten better and better over time.
Yeah. Have you done their shows at all?
Yeah, I've popped in and been on with D Mac once for about 10 minutes one day, and I wasn't even intending to be on, but I was just in the building, and then Ryan and Braylon.
Yeah,
I think I've been on their show too. I know I've had all of them on mine, but
How's
that's
Braylon. Braylon's good. Isn't he?
Braylon's nice. Braylon's cool, man, and Braylon's got a lot to say. But that's.
Do you remember Braylon coming in studio on the show?
Oh yeah.
The only thing I remember from that interview, the only thing is he had a dress shirt on, and it was cut out here so his watch could be displayed. It was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen, man. The shirt was cut out around the wrist so his watch.
He's a pro. He is a pro, man. He's a star.
It was awesome. Hey, going back to your writing stuff, do you have, because what I remember is Cliff Notes, not to keep going back to that, but for the sake of conversation, Cliff Notes Theater, when I first started, were a couple minutes long. They weren't overproduced. They were, and I remember even working on some of those.
That was really, you know what? That was just for time, mostly because we didn't have you and Mark.
Yeah.
So we just put in whatever time we could to get stuff like that done, and it wasn't done as well, but they were they were still funny.
They're great.
Yeah,
they're
were
so
good.
Alive.
Yeah,
I think was one of those early ones.
I think the best length, honestly, is 3.5 minutes is the best.
Really?
Some of them got really stretched out because they were just so many details and
I think
too
those are
much.
so funny,
They
too.
are funny if you can follow them. If you have the time, 6 or 7 minutes. But
do you have a favorite?
the Larry Flint one is really good.
Yeah.
God, shit! I wish I had him in front of me because they're
Coach Carter.
Yeah,
Funny as shit.
I know it's a stupid movie too, but it's
so
really funny.
It's really funny.
And you don't have to see the movie to laugh at it either. No, that is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That one snuck up on me too. I was like, I can't believe we did Coach Carter. And then I heard it, I was like, that was really
It's
good.
really funny, and the voices.
Yeah.
are really funny. What's the one where Clark says, "And don't steal nothing on your way out"? That one fucking killed that line because it's a black guy dating a white girl or something like that.
Oh yeah. What movie is that?
And just the creaky door sound effect of like the shitty.
Was that Brian's song?
No. But Clark is like the racist. Was it American History X? No, it wasn't American.
Oh, it could have been. That's a good one too. That's a really good one.
American History X is great. But don't steal nothing on your way out. Like, fuck. I can't. But there were even some that you did that they didn't make movies about. If you remember, like Leonard Skinner. Remember Leonard Skinner?
Oh, yeah.
And the Cliff Notes guy, when he died, remember you and I just did that? It was like the Cliff
Notes about the Cliff Notes guy.
Yeah, the guy that
was
invented
good.
Cliff Notes, the book.
Yeah, I think it was a minute long or a minute and a half.
It was like 15 seconds. It was like he's born, you smack the baby on the ass, it cries, he dies. That's it. And you and I did it. You came in one morning, I'll never forget, and you were like, I got a Cliff Notes theater. I was like, oh, cool. And you're like, it'll just take a second. I'm like, dude, we're about to go live. And you're like, no, just take a minute. And literally 30 seconds later, we were done recording it and it aired. And that one and what's one of the other ones?
We did when you mentioned
the gay guy, Andrew, who killed
Andrew Cunanan.
Cunanan.
Yeah,
that wasn't a movie at the time.
No, it was just made up off the top of my head. No, that was a good one. That was fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great material in that one.
Yeah,
true crime actually is. We didn't do a lot of true crime, but true crime would be really fun because you just would make such. It would be so trite the way you would treat the crime.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Having regular people acting out a terrible crime would be horrible.
Exactly.
And the worse the acting, the better it would be.
Yeah, and I just remember him as he got fatter. It was ass for rent, and he's stuffing like chips in his face the whole time. Ass for rent, it's. And every time a guy busts a nut, he's writing a check on his back. Like such detail, and it just painted such a picture. The other ones
that is a fascinating story. I don't know if you saw when they did the was that a 2 or 3 part movie they did on that?
They did.
I don't know if you watched that.
I might have. It might have been like an A&E thing or something.
Yeah, I think it was A&E, and I remember thinking, oh, I don't want to see that. And I started watching it. I was like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just such a crazy story. I mean, if you think about that at the time in 90, was that in the 90s, 97, 98?
Yeah.
That was the craziest crime. You kill a guy for his car, and then you go party for a couple of days, and you kill another guy for his car. And the guy in Chicago, the family was like, no, he did not know. That Lee Miglin family, he did not know Andrew Cunanan. Turns out, no, he did know Andrew Cunanan. It's like, there was something going on, which is like, what?
Yeah.
And the way he killed him was horrible. I mean, he had
wasn't there a hammer involved in one of them or something? Or
yeah, Lee Miglin had a mask on when he killed him, like some weird
sex
homa thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that crime was so bizarre, but now that crime would not be that bizarre now because there's so much crazy shit going on.
Isn't that wild?
I mean, people just shoot up malls, and I mean, all these mass shootings. It's like, but back then that was just the
remember
biggest...
what a big Columbine.
Yeah.
Like Columbine took over the world. Now it's like, oh, what's their death count? Don't even bother me unless they killed 20 people. Like,
no, I know.
Like, it's crazy.
It's so insane. And that's another thing about getting older where, I have to stop myself from doing this where I'll say, maybe to Trudy, I'll be like, Trudy, remember when this never happened?
Yeah.
This never, ever happened. She's like, I know. It's so weird. And I'm sure there's people going, what the fuck are they talking about? But no, this is weird. There's some reason this is going on. I want to know what it is. Why are people shooting shit up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why are so many people so nuts? And where did these incels come from? I mean, why weren't there incels when I was a kid?
Yeah, or when we were little kids. Like none of that shit existed.
Yeah, now
do you think it's something to do with these SSRIs? Is that what they're called? The meds that people are taking? There's so many meds.
That's a good question.
You know what? I hate that argument, but I mean, there is some desensitization, whatever that word is, that goes on. There's no doubt. It has to be.
I think as far as the incels, though, I wonder if the fact that they are so miserable that they start gathering together and going, oh my God, these people that get laid, I hate them, and these women are all whores, and you know, they should be with me, and they like these chads, and it's just so weird. They have their own language. Could that be that with the internet, you grow up watching all this porn, and you finally think it's your turn, and you cannot get laid anywhere, whereas when you were some dope in 1980, like, you didn't grow up with all this porn and watching this sex-obsessed society.
No.
And so
you were around a lot of kids your age because you were all outside of the house. You weren't stuck in a basement somewhere by yourself.
Right,
playing video games and plotting.
But your brain wasn't tuned to sex all the time. Like growing up now, any kid that has an iPhone can watch shit tons of porn, and they must all do it. I assume all the guys have to do it, right?
Of course they do.
So when they reach a certain age and they're like,
"Why am I not
watching
doing
these people fuck half my life? When is it my turn?" And somehow it isn't, and you're stuck inside all the time because that's how you live, inside on your computer and on your phone all the time.
Yeah,
and so you don't have any shot.
Those people used to kill themselves if things got too bad, or maybe they went as far as killing the girl that rejected them. But this idea of going into the school and just mass murdering your classmates, or going into a random mall and mass murdering the whole food court, like what are I don't remember that being a thing, and that strikes me as ego. Like, I'm going to leave a mark. I'm going to show them I mattered.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought about harming anyone else. I've certainly thought, like, oh, my life sucks. It'd be nice to not be here. But killing someone else?
Well, there has to be some level of sociopath that allows you to kill random strangers and not give a fuck and just go, hey, everybody's going to be talking about me tomorrow. There has to be some sociopathic element there. And I know there are far more sociopaths than there used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, dramatically more. I mean, among kids and adults.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that is. But maybe because the world is so oriented around kids, whereas it used to be, fuck kids. Nobody cares about kids.
Yeah, exactly. They have their own table for dinner. Like, fuck them. Get them
There's
out
management and there's labor. Kids are labor, and they don't get shit.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know shit, and we're going to tell them they don't know shit instead of... raising them.
You knew
to
your
believe.
Place. If you were in line at the grocery store, you were not going to get that candy bar or whatever.
Nope. And if you acted up down the street, the neighbor's mom or dad might smack you around a little bit. And your parents would thank them for that.
Right.
Back
now
then.
kids are never wrong.
We had a dog
when I was sued for it.
When I was growing up, there's a kid down the street, and our dog bit him in the face.
Oh.
And the fucking dad with the kid shows back up at the house, knocking on the door, and my mom's like, hey. The kid's bleeding, and he says, I just want to apologize to you so much. Whatever this asshole did to that dog to make him bite his face, I just want you to know he's terrible. Tell him how sorry you are. The kid's, I'm fucking sorry.
I'm sorry I got my head in your dog's mouth.
But it wasn't like, I'm suing you because your dog. It was like, no, my kid probably did something, pulled the dog's tail or something, and got his ass bit. His fault, not the dog.
Did the dog bite people?
No.
Just him.
No, it didn't. And it was just him that got bit.
It was
pretty
definitely
weird. No, it is really strange. The shooting thing, every time it happens, I always feel like, aren't there any of these really brilliant people working on what connects all these people to do this. I feel, and then if you're too interested in that, they go, "Oh, you just love guns, and so you want to blame it on the building." And I'm like, no, I want to know why they're doing it. This has nothing to do with guns.
For generations before these current last 2 generations,
Never
this
happened.
didn't happen.
Never.
But people will point out, but it did in fucking Ohio in 1968. There was this guy that went up. You're like, yeah, okay.
No, there's no argument for that. It
there's
did not happen.
They happened very rarely.
Right, and you can
Very
argue about
rarely.
guns some other day. I'm just saying I want to know what is going on that connects all these people who decide to shoot up complete strangers. That's, not only is it, horribly destructive and what it does to all these people and these families, but it's completely, it's sociopathic.
Yeah.
I mean, they're psychopaths, psychopaths, whatever. And why, I don't know. Why would that many people think it's okay to do that? It's just so strange.
I don't know, unless it's growing up, getting likes and hearts for every moment of your life. You're going out with a bang. You want those likes and hearts. You want that discussion, even if it's bad. They almost subscribe to that. No press is bad press.
It's bound to be wrapped up somewhere in the internet. I mean, I can't help but think it seems like a lot of shitty things are, and it's just like the kids, the incels. That's got to have something to do with the internet. Whether it's the proliferation of porn, or it is just the lack of likes, or oh my God, everybody, I'm the biggest loser in my class, and it's quantified now on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty strange.
Yeah.
Although back then, I think people knew. If you were a total loser, you knew it.
You knew it. Yeah. You
the
did.
class made you know it.
Yeah, but it was just your class, not the world.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. It's weird, and you can literally pinpoint it to 2007 when the iPhone came out and social media following shortly thereafter, and all of a sudden it seems like society completely changed. I don't think as human beings we're meant to have every opinion that we have shared with the world. I don't think the world is meant to comment on
everyone is
everything
not
we
meant
say.
to have a voice. Some people should not have a voice.
Should absolutely not have a voice. I often say that Twitter today is like back in our day, that would be the equivalent of going out on your porch and just screaming some wild opinion for no reason.
Yeah.
Like what no one gives a shit. You got a cold hamburger at the drive-thru? Fuck off. Why are you telling us? And now we need to go pick at Burger King for you? Like,
do you tweet?
Not really.
No.
I did a little bit. Usually I tried to stick to sports. Or something.
That's not a bad policy.
You know what I mean? Like I just
smart.
There's this platform and we say whatever, but on that it's like I found that it's too easy to be taken out of context. People don't pick up on a joke.
I know.
And it's like
It's horrible.
I don't need this. I'm not going to fight with some. I don't even know what I'm fighting with. Maybe it's a 12-year-old. Maybe it's a fucking old man. Maybe I have no idea.
No, I
don't
tweet
not
that
worth
much, and I do find that quite often I end up sighing when I see, oh God, who is this, and why are they saying this?
Yeah.
Why are they mad about this tweet? What the fuck? And you're just mad at some complete stranger who's using a fake name.
Of course. Of course. Before we wrap up, man, I want to thank you for coming by. I did want to talk a little more Drew and Mike show, because you didn't start in Detroit. Were you Boston first or Virginia?
Actually, right out of college, I worked when I was selling packaging for Continental Can Company in Stone Container, which was actually a decent job. I had a company car and stuff, but I was working at WFIC in Collinsville, Virginia.
Really?
It was like 500 watts, and it was, I think, 250 at night. You actually turned the power down. No, actually, they were sun up to sundown. You turned the transmitter off at sundown.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
8:15, 8:30. So it was a really small signal. But I did learn some things there, but I'd worked at WVT at Virginia Tech, so it was just nice to do it on a commercial station, even though I think it paid minimum wage, actually.
Yeah.
But I just did like the last couple hours of the day.
Was
after my
radio
day
your
was
goal,
over.
like all the time? Was it like, I want to do a radio show?
I did, but I'd kind of given up on it because people insisted that you can't make any money in radio. You absolutely cannot.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make money in radio, you're better off in sales. And I did an internship in sales, but I still liked being on the air, and I wanted to be. And then when my territory moved back to Blacksburg, I got a job at V105, which was a rock station there, and I was just doing fill-in, and then the 7 to midnight job came open, And so I was like, I could be home by 7 for my job, my territory, where I was going. I could plan my week, and I could be back. And so I took the job, and I did both jobs for like 6 months. And around the probably about the 3-month mark, I started like calling in the morning and be like, yeah, I'm in Mount Airy, North Carolina. I just called on so, and I was like, I couldn't keep it up. It was insane. So I was starting to blow off my real job. So I had to decide, and I decided, okay, I'm going to go for it. And so I quit the paper job.
Yeah.
And then I switched to the morning show at V105 for about a year.
Was mornings paying then?
No, not in that town. No. Not at all. Like I think my check was like $113 a week.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
My rent, I shared an apartment with a guy, and the rent was like $250 or something. But it was tight.
Yeah.
And then I got a job in Roanoke.
Well, that's a big city.
Doing it's a bigger, but it was like $200 a week, and then I moved to mornings for $270 and $300 a week. And I remember my W-2 in 1986 was like 14,000, maybe not even 14,000, and because I had we had a 5-year high school reunion, and no, actually that was the 10-year was 87, and I just remember I was making a terrible income. I was like, I'm the biggest loser at this class reunion. I'm absolutely the biggest fucking loser at this entire reunion.
Yeah.
And then I got the job in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'd sent out so many tapes from Roanoke. And I developed a pretty decent morning show at that time, and I had so many people who would say, I really like your tape, but you haven't worked in any major markets yet, so we just need you to work. And so anyway, Charlotte was kind of in between. It's a pretty big market, though, and this guy hired me to do an afternoon morning show in Charlotte. He wanted a personality afternoon show, but he really did. Not like you hear some people say that.
Right.
They really would let me do stuff in the afternoon. So
what kind of stuff would you do then? Would you be doing interviews, call people?
Yeah, did some interviews, took phone calls, did some bits. We had a production director I got along with really well. We used to produce some stuff. That was when Gary Hart was running for president, I remember. That was 87, 88, because I remember the Bimini thing happened. And I remember we did a few bits around that. And we were doing some parody songs and, basically anything a morning show would do, we would do. And I was able to make a great tape out of there because it was in Charlotte, which was a good market, and we were being given the time to do stuff. So I started shopping that tape around. I'd only been there like 10 months, and that station was a brand new station. And it kicked off, and the first book, we were -- in the afternoon.
Wow, that had to be a thrill.
It was awesome. And you could kind of see it coming in the monthlies, but I just didn't. I just thought, they spent money on advertising. They had billboards, they had TV, not surrounding me, but the station was really, they spent a lot of money promoting it.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it really just blew out of nowhere, just right out of the gates. And so anyway, I sent a tape around to some stations, and coming from Charlotte, you got much better response than coming from Roanoke.
Yeah.
And so that Boston job came open where Bob Rivers left the Bob and Zip show.
Okay.
And,
oh, wow. I didn't know that was. So what was that, AAF?
AAF.
Yeah.
And I flew up there and met with the PD and met Zip. And Zip was really funny. And he was doing some really good production and stuff. And Bob and Zip were doing all kinds of song parodies because Bob Rivers would go on to be the song parody guy.
Bob Rivers,
wow, this would be a great place to go to work. Although it was it was typically number 2 or 3 in Boston for rock. There were 2 other stations beating them, but it was still a Boston rock station. It was a great station. They had great talent there, too. And so I went there and really learned a ton working with Zip. And
was he your co-host at that point?
Yeah. Yep. And then Zip and I went to Arizona from there. Our station was bought by Zappos Communications, and weird shit was going on. And we're like, I don't know what's going on here. A new consultant who was like, shredding the talent, like, you suck and you better get your shit together. He wasn't really giving us any shit, but it just seemed like a bad environment. So we started shopping tapes around, and we were a pretty hot show at that point
in Arizona.
And and we were getting a lot of response to the tapes, and we got that job in Arizona, in Phoenix. And Phoenix was a real hot coming market, and plus we went out there in palm trees. And I was like, hey, this would be cool.
Yeah, I can do this better than Boston Winners.
So we took that job, and that was there was weird.
So I'm sorry, you were having success in Boston, and that got you the gig
to Phoenix.
Okay, yes. I gotcha.
Right. And then Phoenix blew up after 2.5 years, and that's a long, stupid story, but.
Blew up in a bad way or in a good way?
I got fired because during the Gulf War, all the AMs went up and the FMs went down because people were wanting
listening to
information on
news.
the Gulf War, which seems stupid now because like the Gulf War. I mean,
Yeah.
what? But it was America's first war in a long time, so it really hurt us. And then when the war ended, we put out a book, and we got fired before the book came out, but the book was actually very good. And it was like, oh my God, why couldn't they wait? But they had a new PD, and this guy wanted to do the morning show. He was terrible, by the way. Fucking horrible. What an asshole he was.
Did he survive?
No. Yeah. Oh, no. The station went to fucking hell, and they sold the station like 3 years later for a huge loss. Thank God.
Yeah, good.
Good.
That's
what a
they get.
redemption that was.
Validation.
Oh, he was a huge asshole. Before he fired us, he actually bragged about he was going to fire the afternoon guy and the overnight guy, and they were best friends, and he was going to offer the afternoon guy the overnight guy's job if he wanted to stay.
Oh,
it's like, you fucking asshole! And he's like, ha 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 ha! Isn't that funny?
He's maniacal.
Yeah,
That's
no, he was
brutal.
such a dick. Oh, I was so glad when he went to shit there, and they sold it. What an
But
abortion.
did you see the writing on the wall before that? Were you preparing like we might have to actually leave this market?
You know, I was Bob Rivers was calling Zip and saying, you know, I think they're interviewing somebody for your job, and we were like, what? He said, yeah, and he said, I know somebody, and I remember I was really in denial. I was like, that's impossible. And then there were some more kind of signs that things were going strangely because this guy was telling, this is what this PD was going, he's going, you know, we really want to go more hybrid rock and pop. And, you know, for example, this morning there was this big story where this hospital had confused two babies and somebody took the wrong baby. And was like, you could have called the hospital and found out how they're going to prevent this from happening in the future.
Oh, God.
And I remember Zip and I were looking at each other like, oh my God, that's the worst fucking radio. I cannot be that guy on the radio.
No.
That's horrible. I mean, I know who that guy is, and that guy's not me.
Yeah.
So it just was there were a lot of bad signs, but I so liked living in Phoenix that I think I really blocked out the truth. And then we got hatcheted on a Sunday coming back from vacation.
No way.
Hey, could you come down to the station about 5 o'clock today? We need to have a meeting. It's like, oh, I wonder what this is going to be all about.
Know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Zip called me like, oh, we're getting fired, I guess. But fortunately, for floating tapes out. And again, we'd just been out in the market 2.5 years earlier, so people remembered us, and we had great demo tapes too. We had really good demo tapes. You know, when you do that many shows, and it was a good show, and so we were good at making demo tapes.
Sure.
And so Riff came around, and
was Riff the only option at that point, or
no? We had a chance to go to San Jose.
Okay.
The classic rock station there. There's still classic rock.
Okay.
Not KSJO.
Is that where Tom Sarna ended up going? Remember Tom Sarna?
Tom Sarna? Did he go to San Jose?
I thought he did. He was in Northern California.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Don't know if he stayed in radio, though. And did
Tom is in radio in New Hampshire now, I think.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
okay.
I believe so.
All right. I know he was in the Bay Area for a while there.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. He seems like a Bay Area guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to not KSJO. That was a station I think Lamont and Tonelli were on.
Oh,
They're
wow.
still there. They're still
Are
out
they
there.
really?
Yeah, that's a big show in San Francisco.
Okay.
They've been on the air for like 30 years.
Yeah, yeah.
But we went to the classic rock station who was against Bob and Blasey and Lamont and Tonelli, which is unbelievable to think they're still there because that was like 1991.
Yeah.
But they offered us the job, and it was for the cost of living. It just wasn't. It was not enough money. And
Now, would you scope the area and be like, I don't want to take on Lamont Tonelli?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? I thought that San Jose was more challenging than Detroit because I just thought our show was more like the San Jose shows, whereas we were much different than the Detroit shows.
Oh, okay.
So I thought there was kind of a hole for something in Detroit like we might want to do.
So you were listening to like
Lamont and Tonelli
checking Detroit shows
absolutely.
too? Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
More so when I got the job than before I got the job. But in San Jose, I was up listening to those shows before we went over to talk to him. And Zip was listening to one, I was listening to the other, and then we switched over. And they were really good. Bob and Blasey and Lamont and Tonelli had been there for ages. And I looked them up in San Francisco. They're in KSAN. Does that
KSAN.
sound familiar?
I don't know.
The Bone, 107.7
Okay,
The Bone.
rock station?
Yeah, I still keep up with a lot of these stations.
Wow, that's
I don't know
funny.
why.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, those guys, all those shows podcast now too, so you can listen to, like I get Radio Inc., the magazine, because I knew the guy that was the editor, and she's like, yeah, I'll send you a free copy. So he started sending me Radio Inc., and I would just look at it and go, who is this person on the cover? I've never heard of this person. But I'll typically see like, oh, this is the hot new morning show. And so I love now because I go, oh, are they really that fucking good? And go to look them up on a podcast and listen to them.
Yeah.
It's so easy now to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
So
it is. It's bizarre. It is really cool.
So you and Zip come to Detroit. How does Mike Clark get in the mix?
He was on the Ken Calvert show.
Okay.
Ken Calvert and Lynn Woodison were doing a show, and Mike was doing Mr. Stress and Bob Boner and some other characters. And when Ken left, they quickly signed Mike up.
Really?
Yeah.
He was just calling in at the time,
he
wasn't
was. He was just
like a
calling in.
listener.
But when we were in for the job, they said, by the way, we have signed this guy who does great characters. You're going to love him. And I actually met Mike and was like, oh, he's going to be great. I just thought, just bring him in the studio.
But he was not a radio guy.
No,
at all.
He had done no radio. He'd hardly been in a radio studio before. And he was 37 years old. He'd worked at Mishcon for 15 years. And all of a sudden, he was a full-time radio guy.
That's crazy.
And, he picked up fast. He was fearless, so...
Yeah.
Whereas, a lot of people really, I think, cringe or they kind of melt down under the lights of actually being live. He didn't at all. He was excited.
Yeah. And then Zip goes away. I mean,
Zip vanished due to a number of problems.
Yeah.
One main problem that I won't get too specific about.
Yeah.
But and that sucked, honestly, because when we first started, Zip was running at 100%. It was going great, and then he started falling apart, and it was really hurting the show. And they warned him, and he couldn't pull it together. And so
that's what happens.
Yeah, he left,
so then they go, by the way, your new partner is Mike Clark.
Yeah, they said Mike will have to step up, and Mike was more than happy. I don't think Mike was upset about it at all.
Did that scare you though? Because
a little bit, but I knew Mike pretty well by then.
Yeah,
I thought I think he can do this. I just think it's going to take a minute, and I didn't know if we had a minute.
Yeah.
Because, when one guy leaves the show, it's like, oh, boy, are we going to survive this?
Right.
Because, in a way, I had vouched for him by coming with him. It's like, you're both vouching for each other. And when he falls apart, it's like, well, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
But Mike and Trudy were there, and so, I don't know. I thought we would pull it out, but...
Was this Great America?
Yeah, it was Great America, and they sold to Greater Media not long after that. And so that sort of put everything in like, when is the sale going to go through? And they couldn't do anything until the sale went through. So there was sort of created this zone where, oh, there's really nobody running this station because everybody was just out for themselves.
Yeah.
So we started playing less and less music.
I remember
that
as a listener, as a kid.
Really?
I remember that, yes. Because I was listening to... JJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like JJ was my show, and that you guys had come to town, and it was like, and so I would during like their commercial break, I would flip over, and I was like, "Who is this Drew and Mike? What is this? You guys were new to town or whatever?" And I just wasn't aware, and it quickly became like. Now I'm listening to Drew and Mike, and during their commercial breaks, I'd flip over to JJ.
Yeah.
And within a month, it was like I was coming back from break. And Drew and Mike would be back on. That's unacceptable. So I had to listen to every commercial because I couldn't miss a fucking word coming out of the break. That's how good it was. It was amazing.
Yeah, once we became all talk or virtually all talk, Mike totally loosened up.
And it pissed me off. That's where I was going with that. Sorry. It pissed me off when it was like, okay, I got 20 minutes to drive to work or school or whatever. And it was like, they're playing a fucking Zeppelin song right now? Oh, damn it, I can listen to Zeppelin anytime.
Yeah, well, that didn't last too long, though, because eventually... Because I remember a couple days, we played a couple songs one time in the 9 o'clock hour, and I forgot why. I think we were taping an interview or something, and the PD, which was Greg Osham, was like, what are you guys doing playing music?
Yeah.
You're losing if you're playing music. You guys should be talking all the time. Record it after the show.
Yeah.
And I knew he was right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's nice
that.
when somebody says that. No, nobody did that. Like Bob and Tom were talking all the time. Howard Stern was talking all the time. Jonathan Brandmeier was talking all the time. you know, Steve Dahl,
Chicago.
Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer, and you know, there were shows that were all talk, but not that many.
Yeah.
As far as in Detroit, there were not any, I don't think, at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, Philadelphia, like DeBella played music, and in Cleveland, I don't think there was an all-talk morning show.
And you're in this
on
weird
FM.
limbo area where no one's really kind of running things.
Exactly.
So you're able to just be like, fuck it, we'll just stop playing music.
Right. And then about 2 books later, we had a dynamite book. Just a huge book, and it was right on time. I mean, if anything, if there was ever any lucky timing in my life, it was that, because all of a sudden it was like, oh, they can't fire us now.
Yeah. Were you guys number one at that point?
Yeah,
or?
we were number one.
Yeah.
We were and in the book before it, we had surpassed the other rock shows. And so it was like, oh, boy, this is great. If only we can hold on. And, of course, you never fucking know. It's like, is this going to be a fluke book, or is this actually a, foreshadowing? Yeah. And it turned out the next book was just incredible. And so it was like, wow, we're in.
What was the attitude of, like, management PDs back then? Did it change a little bit when all of a sudden, no?
Yeah, no, it totally, absolutely. Because they don't want you to fuck up their revenue. They know they can make money off the ratings, so they don't want to mess it up. But when they don't know, is this thing going up or down or sideways? You know, then it's like, I think they look at you with wariness.
Did you ever keep receipts? Like, I remember that guy was a real prick before we had that book.
Yeah, I think everybody does that. But I don't know. I think I was so happy to be winning. I just didn't give a shit. I didn't have it in me to be mad, because like, all I wanted was to get in a market like Detroit. You know, a big market where you could make some money and you could always have a job. Once you worked in a market like Detroit or Chicago or, one of the good markets like that, you knew you could always stay employed. And it was like, wow, if I can just hang on for a couple of years here, I'll have that. And then when we did so well, it was like, well, we're going to have a little run here.
Yeah.
And that's enough for me. I mean, I just didn't, honestly, I was so happy about that. I didn't have it in me to be that, to feel vindictive.
Yeah, petty and jealous. And like, fuck that guy.
I know.
The success had to outmatch like what you dreamed it of.
Absolutely. No question. No, all I could think of when we got here was to beat the 2 competitors.
Yeah.
CSX and WLLZ.
Yep.
And yeah, that would have been plenty. That would have been great, because then you've got job insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, to be.
I remember when Podell came in, busted in the studio. Remember that in the 9 o'clock hour with a bottle of champagne. We had taken Wheels. Wheels retired.
Wheels
retired.
Yeah.
And he came in with champagne. It was just like, fuck those guys, man.
I know, that was funny. That was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, and they were gone for all that time, and now they're actually we're on WLLZ on Saturday and Sunday morning. Pretty hilarious.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
they were. Yeah, it was good having Wheels around. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if you're killing somebody, you almost hate to see them go.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't think they weren't gonna catch us.
No,
not then.
Hell,
not for a long time.
No, what stood out to me, because I was so young then. I was 22, starting with you guys in '95 as an intern, and going to those initial Silverdome games. Like, those were my first remotes with you guys,
yeah,
and it was like
fucking nuts.
Radio Row, and it was just like. Ghost town. I mean, it looked like an old Western ghost town. 0 people in front of them. And then Drew and Mike show here, and just the madness. I don't know how else to describe it, but absolute utter debauchery.
It was.
You know what I mean? Tops coming off shirt for shirt. Like,
yeah, the hot tub was there, and all of a sudden the Trump's bus lets out all the strippers.
Yeah.
Right at the hot tub, which wasn't even ours. Next thing you know, they're taking their tops off and they're making out in the hot tub, and there's just thousands of people watching this, and then the next thing you know, the Silverdome security is over there, and that was the last time they left us alone.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then they booted us completely.
Yeah, no, that was all good for our world, though.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, it just created a better story.
For sure. Do you ever see any scenario where you could be enticed to go back to radio? Do you think those? Because I firmly believe like radio is for the most part dead. Honestly.
I don't think so. I honestly, it is like when we started podcasting, you started before we did. It was so many people didn't know what a podcast was.
Oh, we used to have it on our website. Like, here's how you listen to a podcast with a checklist.
I know, isn't that funny? And now everyone knows what a podcast is. Most people listen to a couple or three, and I feel like we're going up as they're coming down. Yeah. And I feel like, honestly, they could pass us within the time that I'm doing this. It's so dramatic, the way podcasts are going up. And there are a lot of great I mean, we make fun of a lot of shows, and there's a lot of people phoning it in, but there are a lot of great podcasts. And there aren't that many great radio shows. I just don't hear them.
Right. Well, most people aren't doing a traditional radio show. You and I, that's our background, is that format of like, what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the world, what's going on in our neighborhoods. Like, that format works. But a lot of people are doing, my podcast is about craft beers, or my podcast is about cars. You know,
no, that's true.
So there's a lot out there. I mean, there's something for everyone. I think the game-changing moment was really when the iPhone put the podcast app on there and wouldn't allow you to delete it. That, to me, was when it was like they were telling everybody, this medium is here, and it's not going anywhere. Deal with it.
Yeah, I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But I think a lot of it was just the nature of younger people just weren't sold on radio. They're growing up and they're going, I don't know what fucking radio. Why would it? I don't do things because I have an appointment to do them. I don't watch TV shows because they're on at 8 o'clock. I do when I want to do what I want to do. And podcasts allow you to do that.
Yep.
And then I've caught on to that because for a long time it'd be like, what time is that show on? You know, whether it was, what's the singing show on NBC?
American Idol?
No, it's the other one. It's the one on NBC. The Voice, The Voice is on it. I watch The Voice every week, and eventually I don't watch anything at any specific time. I either record it or I watch it on Netflix or on a platform.
I mean, you just zip through commercials.
Right, exactly.
It's just not.
No, I never watch live TV, and I never do anything by appointment. I do it when I want to, like all these younger people who are so fucking smart.
It's great.
They
It's
taught
awesome.
me.
Yeah. But we built the technology for them that got them there, so don't give them all the credit.
No, I don't give them that much credit. No, I will not afraid to rip Gen Z at any opportunity.
Yeah, well, Gen Alpha's right behind them. So
Gen what?
Gen Alpha. I just read about them yesterday.
That's the new one coming up?
What year were they born?
These motherfuckers are up to age 13 right now. And these sons of bitches are already calling the last generation that's like 13 to 24 old man and shit. These people are finally getting a taste. Like, out right now is like these Gen Alphas. There's a whole list I had. Let me see. Oh, yeah, this was funny.
Now they're the boomers.
Well, I remember when Gen Z...
They've got terms that are dated now that you can't say. Do you know GYAT, G-Y-A-T?
No, what does that mean?
Girl, you ass thick. That's one of their terms. This is Gen Alpha slang terms. Rizzler, so someone who's good at picking up chicks. Skibbity comes from a YouTube show. Phantom tax, someone who steals your food, and then you grab bites of your friends' meals. That's phantom tax. Out, though, is crying emoji. Crying emoji is something funny, but these people are talking about what generation. Let's see. They're bitching about Gen Z and millennials and calling them old and shit.
Good.
Yeah.
Boy,
I know
they're getting it from both sides.
They're getting a taste of their own fucking medicine now. They don't like it. High-waisted jeans, liking Harry Potter, using the wrong emojis. They don't like any of that shit.
Liking Harry Potter.
Yeah, and if you use like the crying emoji or the laughing emoji is out. You can't say something is there's all kinds of words. It's hilarious. So just heads up.
Okay.
Gen Alpha's coming and they're going to be a motherfucker.
I remember when about 7 or 8 years ago when there's that Gen X Gen X expert. Wait, no, what? Not Gen X. Gen Z expert.
Yeah.
He and his father are Gen Z experts. He was like 19. His dad was like 40. And this guy was like, you better watch out for Gen Z because we're coming in the workplace and you better be ready for us. And it's like, fuck you. You are zero. You are at the bottom, you punk.
They don't think they are.
I know they don't. It's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're insufferable.
We got to go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey, I wanted to mention, sorry for keeping
That's okay.
This is so much fun.
Oh, you know what I want to mention? No, I
Kowalski.
honestly, I didn't want to go. Tom Kowalski, Killer Cares at the Lodge in Kego Harbor.
Yep. 2812 Orchard Lake Road in Kego. 248-683-5458. Everyone knows where the Lodge is.
And we're bartending from 9 to 10.
Okay.
On the 8th. Is that
7th?
Is that?
I've got Thursday, December 7th.
What?
That's the date I had.
No. That can't be. But look up Killer Cares on Facebook.
Well, it's next Thursday, right? Next Thursday.
I think it's
Didn't
on
you used to do
Friday.
that at Brujas?
I think it's on Friday.
Didn't that start out at Brujas?
Yes,
and then
yes,
move
it
to the
did.
Lodge?
It did.
Yeah.
Here we go. Killer Cares.
I'm going to show you the text you sent me, Drew, so that you know.
Did I say next Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here, it's December 8th. They've been
Oh,
featuring
for
a different
fuck's
bartender.
sakes.
That's okay.
December 8th. Okay.
Yeah, we just do more. So it's on Friday night.
Thank you for inviting me to that.
That's way better
I'm
than
gonna-
Thursday.
Dude, I don't know how to make drinks, though. So if I'm
No, I know. Nobody does.
Okay.
Nobody knows how to do shit.
Okay, good.
But
Because
no,
I'm
it'll
like,
be
oh,
great.
shit.
Kiss babies, that's
If you're counting on me to make drinks, Troy, you can tell.
No, I'm totally worthless behind the bar. So is
Okay,
everybody. But it's just having the more the merrier. We'll have a lot of people behind the bar.
Yeah.
From 9 to 10.
Well, I think about it a lot, and it makes me sad because Killer would have loved covering this Lions team right now.
Oh,
He
God.
would have loved
Yes.
it. You know what I mean?
No, he is so missed. Killer was such a good guy.
He was so funny. We could tell stories forever. Him showing up at your house on Super Bowl parties with his own fucking
with his towel,
beer, with his towel
yeah.
and his beer on wheels. Awesome, Drew.
He
thank
did that
you so
to everyone.
much, man.
No, you're welcome. It was
Thank
fun.
you. Yeah, this is great. I
Appreciate
I
it,
hope you'll
Troy.
do
Of
again.
course. Pleasure.
Thank you, everybody. This is the longest show we've done.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Okay, good.
That's how good you are, man.
Hey, I'll mention Gary Hoey the following night, too. Ho, ho, hoey.
Oh, yeah.
He's at the Magic Bag on December 9th.
Is he coming in for your show?
He called in, actually did a Zoom in and played a little guitar for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those were some of my favorite interviews.
I know.
Loved
He's
him.
such a great guy.
Yeah, he really is.
We got 2 events next week that are well worth checking into.
Awesome. Well, thank you, buddy. I'll see you
You're
next
welcome.
Friday. And
You got it.
We'll do it again soon.
You bet.
Thanks, everybody. And Troy, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.